outside in the warm Miami air. Winchell turned to me.
What was your name again, kid?
It's still Heller. Nathan S. Heller.
Aren't you gonna spell it?
Look, I don't want to be in your story.
Good, because you're not. You're Chicago, right?
Born and bred.
What do you make of that, in that cell back there?
You're in New York. What do you make of it?
It's horseshit. I think that little bastard hit Cermak. I think he thinks he's dying from that stomach of his, and the mobsters probably promised to support his family back in Italy in return for him taking Tony out, and for his silence. What do you think?
I think you're right on the money. But if you print it, nobody will believe a word.
What's the guy to do? Bullshit they'll believe. Take it from me. Facts only bore 'em.
Although edited for television, tonight's thriller contains scenes of suspense and violence which may be unsuitable for young viewers. Parental discretion is advised.
Robservations with Robert Meyer Burnett.
Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, your master of fun and wonder, your viceroy of verisimilitude, your sommelier of sci-fi and cinema, your evangelist of the imagination, and, of course, the perhaps never to be defined existential Mr. Rogers. That's right, me, or more appropriate to this episode, moi. This is Robservations episode 1087. And I'm, of course, Robcasting at you from right here in the Robservatory. You imagination connoisseurs, you members of this, the Post-Geek Singularity community, have a special episode for you tonight. I have Rob Galuzzo, who's been on this channel before. He's a filmmaker. He made a great documentary called Analog Love, which you can get on Blu-ray. But he's also a film booker, and he just returned from a month in Paris seeing his lovely lady. But he also did a really great, call it a geological expedition of all the cinemas in and around the City of Lights, Paris itself. So I thought I'd have Rob G come on the show to talk about the state of cinema in terms of what we can look at with theatrical marketing going forward, and how other countries view movies and how that is different than us. So please welcome, put your hands together. Rob, welcome back to Robservations.
Oh, thank you for having me. Appreciate it. And I'm excited to talk to you about this because what I kind of learned and discovered over in Paris was really inspiring, encouraging. I believe in theatrical. You believe in theatrical. We love movies. And I just thought there was a lot of fascinating differences, similarities, and this would be the perfect opportunity to talk about it is with you. So thank you for having me.
You know, the first time I was ever in Paris, I was a guest at what I was told was their very first Star Trek convention.
Right.
And I had gone over there and met a friend of mine's husband, Jose Silvera, and he was kind of insane. So we had a lot of fun. We were wandering around in the city in a torrential downpour. But first of all, Paris is one of the most. It truly is one of the most beautiful cities. I was completely captivated by it. I mean, I've been seeing it in movies my whole life. But the thing that struck me about Paris was, you know, you've got, I think they have a limit, like there's all these 5 stories or 6 story buildings, and they can't build any higher in certain areas. So the first level of those buildings are like restaurants and cafes and bookstores and things. And then you come around a corner and suddenly it's 2 a.m. and there's a cinema like in the middle of a neighborhood. And the cinema that I found was actually playing Casablanca just randomly in the middle of the night. And you could see the way, I mean, there's not multiplexes, or at least not in Paris the way it's almost like every cinema was a gallery, or every cinema was some kind of a it was like you'd think you're going into a bookstore or some kind of bespoke, and then they weren't like gigantic, but there was clearly a sense of lived in love to the cinemas there. And like everything else, there's just, I mean, to me, the thing about Paris that was so interesting is everything is art. People are art. You know, everyone, the way people dress, the way people are, the waiters and the people you'd run into on the streets. It's almost as if, and of course, this is me romanticizing it because I'm in Paris. I'm sure there's just as many dicks there as there are here. But there was something about the fact that you felt a respect for the art of cinema. And, you know, a lot of Cahiers du Cinema, the great film magazine where like Andre Bazin came out of there, and the Godard was writing for that, and Truffaut was writing for Cahiers du Cinema, and those critics transitioned over and became filmmakers. We saw something similar. Mark Capillar's movie Iron Lung, again, a YouTuber, like we've had a couple of other YouTubers cross over, Stuckman, and then the brothers who brought us Bring Her Back and Talk to Me. And so we're in a way, I mean, I shouldn't necessarily say that they're the new Truffaut or they're the new Godard, but in a way, it is, you have online pundits. And of course, The Critical Drinker produced his short film based on a character that he's been writing books for. So it's really interesting to see that maybe we're going to have a new indie boom the same way we had one in the late 80s, early 90s for content creators actually dipping their toes into the I don't know, into the world of cinema and making indie features. I mean, Mark Capillar spent $3 million of his own money. He grossed over $22 million this weekend. That means he pockets, I read that he pockets at least 50% of his money. So he made his film 400%, brought 300 to 400% profit, and it's still climbing. Now, when I went, the movie was absolutely not for me. It was not. I went and saw it. However, he leveraged his own, I mean, he has tens of millions of subscribers on social media, and I was in a theater with a bunch of young people, and I don't know what they thought of the movie because I don't think it really worked as a film, but what it did work, I mean, it was based on an indie video game, and the people that knew the game and knew Mark Capillar and they loved it. I mean, it got a rousing round of applause, and I truly felt, you know, when people say, well, maybe modern Star Trek isn't for you, I'm like, well, fuck you. But this movie might not have been, truly, I got the feeling it wasn't necessarily for me. But the audience that was there for it, and the movie was successful. And I would say, regardless of what I felt about the film itself, that was a win. It was a win for theatrical, it was a win for Mark Capillar, and it was a win for the fans of him and his content. So let me ask you, going into 2026, we have a stacked year of bangers theatrically, and I expect that it could be one of, certainly the biggest year since the pandemic, but it could be one of the biggest years ever. We talked earlier, Amazon has committed to their theatrical slate. We saw Mercy come out. Little disappointing. One of the films that I'm really looking forward to from them is Crime 101, based on Don Winslow's. I'm a huge fan. I wish somebody would develop the entire Winslow verse. But Crime 101, which you've seen, but Amazon's all in on theatrical. How do you see the theatrical landscape moving into 2026? And are you optimistic about cinemas and the art of cinema? And then we'll get into the differences between how Americans view movies and how the French view movies. Because you have some great, you brought me back some great pictures. Well, you didn't bring them to me, but you've shared all these great photos with me because you really did a really good job of going to these different cinemas, and it really brought me back. I think I was in Paris for the first time in 2001. So that's a lot. That's a lot to tackle. Let me start by saying that I do agree with you. Paris is a, for the most part, like any city, it's a pretty beautiful, magical place, and I think in a lot of ways it's got a very similar vibe to New York City. I mean, they're very different, but they're also similar in the sense that the people are the people. The thing I love about Paris is the architecture, like you said. Stunning.
You walk those streets and you see those buildings, and they are hundreds of years old. And so there is a sense of history there that you don't really get in too many American cities at all. Yeah. So I think that's kind of one of the incredible things about being there. Now, I went in the dead of winter, which I didn't expect. So that was unpleasant for part of it. I got used to it eventually because I'm from New York and when we had winters there. But yeah, I was very taken aback by, so basically what you're referencing, and you could link it if you want, is I ended up writing an article on my website.
Which is right down below, robgluzzo.com. RobertVGaluzzo.com.
RobertVGaluzzo.com.
It's a great article.
Yeah.
I didn't want to read it because I figured I'd have you here, but it's a great article.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And what it stemmed from really, it's called Cinemas in Paris. And what it really stemmed from is because I'm in theatrical exhibition, I'm not with the company that I had been with, but I'm still very close with my boss. And I just like to send him photos of theaters in other states or countries. Like I just will text him, check this out, or what this looks like, look at what they're playing, etc. And so that's what I started doing. It was a matter of just taking a couple of photos and sending them to my old boss. And what struck me by day 2 or 3 is I was walking across, I don't know, there's like 3 or 4 theaters all within a stone's throw away from each other. Like there's such a high concentration of movie theaters in Paris everywhere you go. And they were all showing very different things. They were at least, and I'm not exaggerating, you could see from the photos, I'd say they had 15 releases that are not playing in America right now, that I don't think even have a date in America right now. And I was kind of blown away by that too, because one of the struggles as being a film buyer in America is that every January we are hurting for product. There's like not a lot. People are holding over kind of the Christmas movies or the stuff that came out during Christmas week. And maybe there's 1 or 2 new releases, but the studios kind of back away from it. I don't know if it's because there's this like subliminal stigma that it's the dumping ground, although there are films that do very well in January. But I saw the complete opposite in France in that, yes, Avatar was still playing. La Femme de Ménage, which is the cleaning lady, aka the housemaid, is still a huge hit there. It's still, yeah. I saw it there and I had a great time seeing that film there. It played excellently. But on top of those movies, I saw there was at least 15 titles that I was like, what is this? And not just like obscure. There's a movie they're playing right now called The Wizard of the Kremlin, and it stars Paul Dano, who everybody loves right now, right? It stars Paul Dano and Jude Law. And yeah, Jude Law's playing Putin in it, so maybe that's why it's not here right now. But it's like it's a fictionalized movie with Jude Law as Putin and Paul Dano in the lead. It's directed by Oliver Assayas, who did Personal Shopper and the Irma Vep miniseries. So pretty good director, and he's got a brand new theatrical feature that has, as far as I could tell, no release date in sight here in America. So that kind of took me off guard. But to go back to your question, and then we'll come back to Paris, I feel cautiously optimistic about what we saw at CinemaCon last year and the swings that people are taking. Warner Brothers started with what I thought was a shaky early 2025 and then somehow magically rebounded.
My God. What a year they had.
I mean, because again, I think they kicked it off with like Alto Nights and Mickey 17, like very expensive movies that had no shot whatsoever of recouping their costs.
But from great filmmakers. I mean, Barry Levinson and Bong Joon-ho, and I think
totally.
That what's interesting, when we were at CinemaCon last year, and I'm really looking forward to CinemaCon this year, but when we were there last year, everyone was saying that Pam Abdi and Mike DeLuca were dead people walking. Like they were going to be replaced as the heads of Warner Brothers. But their methodology of hiring auteurist filmmakers to make films really started to kick in with Sinners. And even though maybe One Battle After Another was expensive, ultimately it proved they're gonna sweep the Oscars, and every studio likes that. All is forgiven, and it's not like that movie bombed. And what I find interesting, and maybe you could speak to this, we had such a great diversity of stories that people were going to see in the theater. Horror had an amazing resurgence, and it's funny because I don't necessarily think of Sinners as a horror film as much as it is a historical account. I mean, it was the first movie I'd seen in a long time where I went and looked up whether there were that many Chinese immigrants in that area of the country at the time. Yeah, and I kind of went down this rabbit hole, and Ryan Coogler made his revolutionary deal with that film. And the thing is, Ryan Coogler's company, he's working with a lot of people. Some of them he met in college. He famously was on the red carpet with a teacher that was the first person to say, you should try screenwriting. And he brought her to a screening. And then it was a great year. I mean, you look at something like Hamnet coming out, Chloe Zhao back in the game. I thought what Nia DaCosta did with Bone Temple was extraordinary.
Great.
My God.
I saw that in France. That was fun. Yeah, I mean, look, you have to remember what happened in the middle of CineCon. It was a pretty dour week, and then that was the week that Minecraft came out. Like, Minecraft came out while we were at CinemaCon, and we were getting phone calls from every theater that just couldn't keep up with that. And all of a sudden, we're like, oh my God, this could be the shift. And I love Sinners. I think it's an excellent movie. I really appreciated it more on my second viewing because I saw it in IMAX the second time. But I saw it before it came out, and even I thought, I don't know if this movie is going to recoup its cost, because I thought it was a cool movie. And I mean, again, that kind of speaks to the fact that nobody knows anything.
Yeah.
Like, you could see something and really
William
enjoy
Goldman,
it.
Everybody, you just brought up William Goldman, who wrote, like, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, wrote a book in the 80s called, why am I drawing a blank on it? Adventures in the Screen Trade. And
Sure.
He coined that phrase, in Hollywood, nobody knows anything. And
Yeah.
it is, some people know a lot. Like, I would say producer
Sure.
Roy Lee certainly knows a lot, who, him and Glenn Powell have teamed up with JT Molyneux, who wrote, and they're making a Texas Chainsaw TV series and a movie.
I'm all in on that, by the way. All in on it.
Yeah.
I love Chainsaw, and I don't think they've done it justice since part 3, which you worked on. So I'm okay with anything. But it's interesting because there's again, nobody knows anything, but there's two things I find fascinating specifically about American audiences. And again, we have to acknowledge that American audiences aren't what they used to be. I've said this to you a dozen times on the show, is that the box office here is fueled by young people. It's not fueled by cinephiles or movie lovers. Really, the box office is for young people. And anyone from 17 to 27, that's what they do on Friday or Saturday night, is they go to the movies or they do other stuff. But a lot of those examples of things that became big, like Minecraft, like Sinners, even the year prior when we're talking about Deadpool and Wolverine and stuff like that, even Barbenheimer, what I've noticed is it's not that general audiences in America are suddenly like, oh my God, I hear there's a great movie and we have to go see it. It's they want to be part of the conversation. It's FOMA, right? Something is an event. Isn't a movie. It's an event. Everybody's talking about Sinners. Everyone saw that video of Ryan Coogler passionately talking about the different formats and
that
saying,
was put out by Kodak. That was dropped online by Kodak.
I don't know what he means, but he seems to really dig it. I'm going to go see that. I want to be part of that conversation. That is, to me, what I think is interesting about the movies that are working here in America. I would rather these studios take big swings. MGM. And again, I can't say for certain. I don't work for them or anything. I think they knew that Mercy wasn't up to par. And I don't think I'm out of turn in saying this because I haven't seen it. You have. So you could speak to this, but the problem I think with Mercy is you're basically doing Minority Report meets Cube, but it's really expensive. Like, a movie about a guy in a chair in a room shouldn't have cost whatever it is they spent on it.
I agree with you 100%. And no one said this. I think they use AI. There's a lot of AI-generated action scenes in that film. Car crashes and stuff.
I don't know if, again, I haven't seen it and I can't speak to it, but I think that wouldn't have been a disappointment financially if they didn't spend as much money on it as they did. However, I think Crime 101 is very solid. I think Crime 101 is the type of film that will play really well theatrically overseas because movie stars are still a draw and people just like different types of movies. I'm curious. I have no idea.
You've seen the film.
And I think it's really solid. I think it's an old school Hollywood movie that we don't see anymore with a lot of movie stars, a lot of action, some cool chases. I thought it was, it's basically Heat meets Drive. It's kind of in that vibe. And I thought it was really cool. And I really liked it a lot. It may be a little too long, but look, well, I'll take that I'd rather a big swing from any studio, something we haven't seen before, just something original or something that harkens back to kind of the classic cinema that we saw. And they're, by the way, from what I understand, they are very, very, very high on Project Hail Mary.
Oh, well, that's the thing. I mean, they've got Drive 101 coming out this month, and they have Project Hail Mary. They have other films like God is God, which look.
Yeah, I can't wait for that one.
I can't wait.
They haven't released a trailer or anything, right? I don't think.
I saw some, but they've also got Masters of the Universe, which the behind the scenes, the footage, they didn't have any footage to show, so it was all behind the scenes. But what I really like about Amazon is MGM. So MGM exists. It's a studio that has been in my lifetime just passed around to people, but now but they were all in. The Amazon presentation was, they're all in on theatrical, and I thought their theatrical slate for the entire year was really strong. Everything looked
and no
really
two
strong.
films alike. No two films alike.
And the fact that Project Hail Mary is one of my most. I mean, look, as an old school geek, Doomsday is the day. I can't wait for December 18th. I hope I don't get hit by a bus before then or something. And if I was sitting in the afterlife, I'm like, really? You couldn't wait until then? I mean, come on.
Wait till after Doomsday.
I'm deliriously excited for both Doomsday and Dune Part 3. But Project Hail Mary, is something new. It's a literary sci-fi adaptation, and I love the book so much. And the final cut's like 2 hours and 36 minutes, which I heard
it's. Yeah, I heard it's near the 3 hour mark or something like that. That 2:36 sounds correct to me.
Yeah, that's what they reported. Now, I'd heard earlier, I think, but I don't know, World of Real reported 6 months ago the movie was 3 hours, and I'm like, they're going to cut it down, but still the movie will play. The story's irresistible, and Ryan Gosling's to play Ryland Grace, the character, and then they hired the actress from Anatomy of a Fall, and I can't wait. So they've got Crime 101 coming out with Chris Hemsworth and Halle Berry and Mark Ruffalo this month. They have Project Hail Mary coming out next month. And I think Masters of the Universe might open in June. So I'm hoping that Amazon has a great year this year because that shows that their commitment to theatrical was not misplaced.
Yeah, and for your viewers, and maybe you could back me up on this unless I'm imagining things, but Masters of the Universe, the trailer they released is okay. Yeah. But what we saw at CinemaCon, I want to just reiterate that what we saw at CinemaCon was the behind the scenes, and so all of the sets were practical and all of the costumes were practical. And that meant they looked like the toys to me. What I saw was like, oh, that's like a guy in a costume that looks exactly like the toys that we grew up with. So I was a little surprised and disappointed that the teaser they revealed has a lot of CG in it. So I'm hoping the next one, again, it's an early teaser. I'm hoping the actual movie in the next one will be a little bit more aligned with what we saw because we know they made that stuff practically and shot it that way. And
they gave us
who is it? Travis Knight?
Yeah, who did Bumblebee and Kubo and the Two Strings. I love him. I really do.
Yeah, I think Bumblebee's the best of the Transformers movies. So I have faith that he'll do a good Masters of the Universe. But anyways, I digress. Yeah, no, MGM has got a solid slate, and I'm looking forward to what all the studios do this year. The other thing that, and again, we can kind of talk about the differences in theaters here and there, but the one thing I noticed, and it's not that it makes me sad, but it plays into the fact that the box office is primarily fueled by young people. A lot of theaters, Kevin Smith has gone on record to say that his theater is a money pit and that the only way they survive is by being a nonprofit, right? So the one thing I've noticed about American theaters and American audiences is really the only way for them to thrive or be okay business-wise is they kind of have to be a movie theater and something else, right? Like what Alamo is a movie theater and a restaurant. Or I had a theater that was a movie theater and a bowling alley, or a movie theater and an arcade. I almost feel, or coffee shop. I almost feel like you really need a backup business to be a part of your movie theater for it to be successful. I'm guessing. Again, I don't know the logistics or the costs, but and in fact, I had 3 theaters in Delaware that seemed to do pretty good business on their own as theaters. Although the way that they had their concessions set up was kind of like almost like a serve yourself sort of deal. And I thought it was incredible and very efficient and very smart. But most theaters are like that. And in fact, I was in Arizona for Thanksgiving, and there's a chain of theaters called Roadhouse. There's only 3 of them, but 2 of them are in Arizona, one in Scottsdale. And I got to tell you, it follows that model. I met up with a friend there. There's a bar. They basically, you walk up outside. There's like a little, basically like an outdoor patio area with a screen. And from what I understand, during the day or the weekends, they screen free cartoons and things on the side.
Wow.
Which they properly license and show just for free. So if you're in the parking lot, you can go and watch stuff. Then you get into the lobby, and the lobby has tables for, if you want to order pizza or something, a giant bar with all these beers on tap, and some concessions and snacks and a little stage. And I met a friend of mine there on this trip. We met for a beer. That was like initially our plan. And I get there, and there's a guy playing on stage acoustically doing like a country set, which I thought was like kind of cool. And we're having a beer or two, and we didn't even plan on a movie. We were just kind of like, well, we're here and this and that. And after the second beer, we looked up at the marquee, and Wake Up Dead Man was coming up in like 5 minutes. And we're like, let's do it. Let's go. And again, that struck me, because I'm like, that entire night was good business, right? Because I wasn't even going to see a movie. I was there to catch up with a friend. I'm supporting a musical artist unwittingly. They just happened to be playing while I was there. And I'm just having a couple of beers, catching up with a friend. And then we decided to do a movie and get concessions and do the whole deal. And again, I think that what's valuable here is creating an entire experience for audiences. I think that's kind of what people want, is a night out.
Well, it's funny you say that, because here locally, the Harkins Theater chain is kind of where I'm at in the Inland Empire. They have like a Chino Hills location, and here in Redlands, California, they have the Mountain Grove 16, the Harkins Mountain Grove 16. And I like going there. They have a really nice bar, and I like going there, and I like the people. What I find really interesting now, and this wasn't the case a lot of the time, I find the people that are employed by these theaters these days are into it. Like the bartenders, I have great conversations with the bartenders about they like genre cinema, they like horror films, they've seen this, they've seen that. And I've been going a lot with my friend Alvaro. We've been seeing double features every week.
Right, yeah.
At the Regal, going down to Orange County. The Regal has the Spectrum is an amazing theater. It's where I saw Friday the 13th 3D on Halloween. They put it in the Auditorium 13. They're really into it. The people that work at their bars are also very funny. They're great people, and even the people behind the counter, they're always like, did you get your Regal points and this, that, and the other thing. And I feel like they're into it. I feel like the people that are working, young people, because it's kind of a young person's job, and it's one of the places where young people can get employment. And it's really interesting, because they make the experience kind of fun too. Because, when I worked in video stores when I was like, 6, I started when I was 13, but 14, 15, 16, I was into it. And I had a whole client base that would come talk to me all the time. Sure. And I was, and it made the experience, the whole experience of going to the movies is more than just, like you pointed out, it's the people and the environment, and what's going on. And however, when you go in at the Regal Spectrum and you see a movie there, I'd never seen a 4DX presentation ever. And I went and saw Send Help in 4DX. I don't know who programs that shit, but whoever did the Send Help 4DX experience was on point. They were on their game. Right. Because every time blood or mucus spewed out of someone's mouth, or the wild boar and hit you in the face, I'm like, this is great. I wouldn't want to see 4DX movies. It's not really my thing, but it was my only experience. It was awesome. First of all, I love the movie. Yeah. But that experience was great. And even the people, there are always people waiting to clean the theater. And even they, as you walk out, they're like, how'd you like the movie? What was up? Did you enjoy it? Even they are willing to give you a little chit chat. So you realize that kind of people that are there, they're into it. They're into being there. And that's something I hadn't felt in a long, some of the people at the ArcLight used to be that way. But now I kind of feel that it's not just people want an experience. And I think even at work, when you have younger people who, we want to live in a socialist society, why should we work? But when they are working at a place where they dig it, it just adds to that whole feeling. And you like the people that are taking your ticket. You're like, hey, what's up? They remember you. What's going? What are you seeing today? And it's a whole thing that's kind of newly evolving. So the experience is like I go to a theater, like you said, and hang out and have a beer with a friend of mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
no, it's great. I mean, look, I this is what you hope for. And again, I can only speak to my own personal experiences because again, I lived in New York and I lived in Los Angeles, and I've been to some theaters throughout the country, but I don't know what some of these theaters are like. I don't know how well they're kept up. I don't know if there's people that work at them that care as much as we do, but you hope for that experience. And I mean, there's something cool about just, like when you connect with somebody about him, like for example, I went to see the new Jim Jarmusch movie was playing in Paris while I was there. Father, mother, sister, brother. Yeah. And it was literally within walking distance from where I was staying and my gal was working. So I was like, well, I'm going to go catch it this morning. It was like a Tuesday morning and I walk over and it becomes clear. Well, number one, I've been doing 4 years of Duolingo and I couldn't communicate with anybody. It didn't matter. It didn't work. But I go in and it's clear to me that the guy behind the ticket counter does not speak English. And I try to say, parlez petit français, parlez anglais. And he's like, no, not really. And I'm like, Jim Jarmusch. And he's like, easy. And all of a sudden, like, you know what I mean? I was like, oh, I'm cool because I'm going to see the Jim Jarmusch movie. And that was, it kind of like made my experience. And again, it's a Tuesday afternoon in Paris where it was middle winter and it's cold. And, the new Jim Jarmusch it's good. I don't think I need to see it again, but it's as long and drawn out as his films can be and sparse. And there were still like 30 people there about my age, like roughly my age, a little older, like on a Tuesday morning, checking out the new Jim Jarmusch movie. And I just thought this is so cool. Like it's a great theater. It looked and sounded great. The presentation was great, but I kept thinking to myself, and I don't even know if it came out here in America yet or not, but I kept thinking every one of my theaters that I used to book would have fought me on playing this movie. Because they would have just been like, nobody wants to see that, blah, blah, blah. And that's the part that bums me out is like, really, we can't have one screen somewhere in your complex, even with the least amount of seats for a Jim Jarmusch movie.
Well,
I wish American theater owners weren't, because all they want extra screens for whatever big movie comes out that week, right? So they can overdo it. And the one thing that they don't do in France that I couldn't believe is they don't give new movies multiple screens. So we went to see 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple on opening night. And I assumed, it's going to be on 5 screens. We'll see it every hour in the hour. No, it was 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock on that opening night. And we were at the 7 o'clock show, totally packed, great audience. And by the way, French people don't react to anything. It's pretty quiet. So the fact that they even reacted, especially to the last couple of minutes of that movie, was like, oh, all right, this feels kind of cool. But I asked the friend that I went with, I was like, this isn't playing multiple times? And he's like, no, we know when it's a new movie that you have to plan accordingly. And if it's 12 screens, 12 different movies. And if you don't get into that new movie, you have 11 other very diverse choices to pick for the night. And I'm like, that is crazy because here you have to put, I bet Send Help was on 5 screens last week everywhere just to, and that's fine. I get the need to accommodate an American audience and make as much money as possible. I just wish there was a happy medium where, and a lot of that also goes into American policy, which we've talked about, where basically all these major studio releases need to be on at least one screen, 5 shows a day for 2 weeks solid without any interruption. And I don't know if policies like that play over there.
What I find interesting about like the mindset I think there's a completely different mindset now. I read that article the other day about how film students don't even like watching movies.
Yep.
And I hate to say it, and maybe again, I don't mean to overly romanticize other countries, but I always joke that whenever I go to Europe, that Europeans have been human beings a lot longer than Americans have. So the idea of art and the idea of experiences like that are much more meaningful. The France is the culture. Like when I think about film history, people forget that Russia and France, because Sergei Eisenstein and the idea of editing, the 5 levels of montage came right out of Russia, and Russian animation and Russian cinema was very, very important, and it was the French that sort of codified the idea of cinema as art. Film noir, for instance, and they were like these critics, the French critics, Andre Bazin and all those guys were saying that, Hitchcock, he's a true artist and he's working in a genre and he's over and over and over again. And I remember, the horror genre was addressed by French critics, and it makes sense because art is such an important integral part of French culture in general. I mean, everything from their cuisine to their museums because I think Europeans have a much different and it's true of Asian cultures as well. Americans, I mean, I don't mean to slam Americans, but we have a very different, and especially younger generations now, music as well. People don't buy albums and listen to whole albums. Like when I was a kid, we'd buy an album and the whole album would be an experience. The album, the jacket would be an experience. The inner sleeve would be an experience. And when you listen to it over and over and over again, the silence between tracks, you could count the beats out in your mind before the next song started. And I remember thinking, you listened to Pink Floyd, The Wall? Did you listen to the entire? You have to listen to the whole album. You can't just listen to Another Brick in the Wall Part 2. It's got to be the whole thing. You have to listen to it from beginning to end and have the. So we've sort of lost that. And,
we have.
And it was interesting. Like I looked at Iron Lung as a genre film, and I didn't. Mark Capiller, I didn't know. I hadn't watched him. I'm not a person that watches a lot of video game playthrough people, but I did do my research on him. And it was interesting to me because I don't think that anybody who went to that movie is going to give it a fair review as cinema. I just don't.
Yeah, definitely not.
And I think that's like when we were kids, if John Carpenter or Joe Dante or John Landis or David Cronenberg or Tobe Hooper, if they had a new movie coming out, you were there. And your friends all knew, and it's like, oh my God, John Carpenter has a new movie coming out. I remember when, I took 5 friends to see Escape from New York, and I got my dad to drive us, and he's like, what is this movie about? And I said, well, Dad, it's 1997 and New York is a walled maximum security prison. Breaking in is impossible, or breaking out is impossible, but breaking in is insane. And my dad's like, that sounds pretty good. And he was just going to buy our tickets and get us in, but he's like, can I come see it with you boys? And he did.
Wow. Yeah.
And it was the experience of the story and what it was going to be about. And I think that's changed. I think movies in America have become like you said, Barbenheimer. Let's go.
Well, I mean, Iron Lung. Iron Lung is that not an event?
It is. It's an event. It's an event.
That's what it is. It's not about the movie. It's an event that they all want to partake in, right?
But so how do you? And
by the way, I don't look down on that. I just personally don't understand it because we come from a different kind of generation, and I respect it. I'll give you an example of something really quick. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No. Go ahead.
And I may be in the minority about this. This is why I actually don't like outside opinions. But A24 is putting out this movie, The Moment, about Carly XCX.
Charlie XCX, yeah.
Charlie XCX. I have no idea who she is. I do not know her music. But I looked at the trailer and I saw it yesterday because A24 is about to put it out, I think. And
it comes out this weekend.
I kind of loved it. I loved it because now, again, after I saw the movie, I went and watched a couple of her music videos. And like you with Iron Lung, I'm like, not for me at all. like at all. Like I don't like this music, and more power to you if you dig it. It's just not for me. It's a little too much voice.
Have you seen her Criterion Closet piece?
Yes, and that's why I loved it. The reason I went to see the movie is because she said, "Don't go to therapy, watch Bergman." And as you know, I watched every Bergman movie last year, so I'm like, I'm going to support her. I want to see her play.
She talked about watching Cronenberg's The Shrouds and how she's totally into Cronenberg, and I'm like, and also, look, she's the weird mockumentary idea of I think it's kind of cool how real life and film and cinema are bleeding into one another in the movie.
Yes,
she has Charlie XCX has I have become a huge fan of hers in the last week because she was in the Criterion Closet and what she said on that. I'm like, I'm
same.
in. I immediately fell in love with her, and she's a true artist.
Well, and I think the movie, and I don't know if the whole reason I brought up not really connecting with the music part is because I do value the movie and her as an artist. And the review I'll give you the movie, which I know people are going to, I don't care. I thought it was a modernized Spinal Tap. This is how you do this is Spinal Tap today. But the humor in but it's the awkward humor of the original Office. It's like that sort, but that's what I thought that movie was. I was like, oh, this is Spinal Tap. It was done today by the original makers of the British Office because it's so awkward. And it's, I mean, I'm sure that's what it's like to be a pop star today. It's like there's so many awkward things. Alexander Skarsgård, it's like a director that's hired to do a concert film as an Amazon original. I mean, it's insane. There's like insane premises put there, and nobody can give a flat, honest answer because nobody wants to hurt anybody's feelings. So it's all these awkward discussions about what the show's supposed to be. So I had a great time with it. And I thought it was very funny, not in a laugh out loud way, in just that awkward, like British comedic way. And I think she's brilliant and it's a brilliant movie. And I hope it does well because I want to see more stuff like that.
Well,
I digress.
No, I don't think you digress because what's interesting, what I want to bring up is the fact that A24 has become an event studio. You know, they have figured out that they have a stable of directors. They've got Carmody Korine's Spring Breakers was an A24 film. And
great one.
Yeah, and I went and saw it, and I was like, okay. And then, of course, Robert Eggers' The Witch, you know, and they found him, and Ari Aster, and they have created a studio of personality, you know, a studio, and where there's A24 has become a genre unto itself, and Charlie XCX starring in this film. And I didn't get a sense of her because I heard, like, does she have a rivalry with Taylor Swift? I didn't know much about her at all. And then seeing her in the Criterion Closet, just listening to her talk, I'm like, oh, this girl's the real deal. And it wasn't just. I
feel you will like this movie a lot.
Oh, it looks. Look, I mean, it goes into a long, like one of my favorite movies that not a lot of people know is Diane Lane's movie, Ladies and Gentlemen, The Fabulous Stains.
Great movie.
Such a great movie. I think we're going to get a 4K of that. I mean, I try and talk to these people now. Nobody knows what I'm talking about. Yesterday, it was announced that Groove, the movie from 2000, which is a low budget film that played at Sundance.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Bro,
Groove is coming out in 4K.
And that disappeared for the last 20 years.
It disappeared.
I haven't thought of that movie.
And it only came out on DVD. You know, I have the DVD,
wow.
And I was like, I know I'm friends with the cinematographer, and he posted, he tagged me, and he goes, "Look what's coming out." And to me, Groove was such. My ex-wife and I watched that. That was our movie. We grooved on Groove. We watched that movie a million times. We just put it on, and I love that movie so much. In terms of I thought that's where young people indie filmmaking was going. But that to me would have been, it's Sony Pictures Classics. And I'm like, why didn't you put it in one of your box sets? But it's coming out in 4K. But I know, right?
Well, and you know what's funny?
John
really
Digweed
quick
shows up at the end of that movie. Like he plays himself with a crate of vinyl.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that movie very well. And what I've been really appreciating lately, I don't want to call it nostalgia or anything, but obviously we've been promoting the Icons of Fright book. We did a show with you. There may be more episodes coming soon, but the book and Groove, like it's all from this period of 2000 to like 2010, right? Yeah. Where everything was on the internet. And what I've noticed is that most of those websites or whatever existed on the internet in that 10-year period has kind of either disappeared or been folded into something else. So I feel like there's a whole slew of movies. A lot of them we talked about in the Icons book. A lot of them are things like Groove that have kind of just disappeared because they came out on DVD. I mean, I'd put Free Enterprise in that pile because it's one of the many films that just kind of got lost with that era, and there's not much on the internet anymore about it because either those sites just went away or whatever. And I'm excited that some of these things are finally getting like found and put out again because
100%.
I thought it was a really cool era. Like, do you remember there's a movie, I learned about it from Ain't It Cool News. It was a Swedish film called Slim Susie.
Oh, yeah.
And it's kind of in that like era of Groove.
Where is
I have the DVD of it. I love that movie.
Where is it?
And if you remember, it's about a guy he's in such a small town in Sweden that they don't even have the last reel to Pulp Fiction.
Right.
So the theater owner comes out and explains what happens at the end, and everyone's like, "What?" He's like, "I'm going to move to Stockholm where they have the third reel or whatever." Great movie, great underrated movie.
But that was a transitional period too. I mean, you were kind of seeing the end of the Miramax era, and there was a lot going on in that period of time. And we were Free Enterprise. I mean, Free Enterprise was one of the last. For those of you who don't know, I've only written and directed one movie, but it came out in '99, and it didn't do much business at all because the company, it was their first acquisition. And they're like, we're going to put it in 9 theaters in L.A. And I'm like, don't do that. Put it in 1 theater in L.A. And I begged them not to. And they put it out in 9 theaters with no P&A budget. So it opened in Chicago, New York, and Los Angeles. And it got good reviews for the most part. And then it just died because no one knew it was playing. My favorite thing, it was in Century City. The marquee was The Phantom Menace and Free Enterprise. And I have a picture of myself, me and Mark Altman standing under these going, yeah. But we didn't have the success of that, but it's disappeared. It's been out of print since 2006, and the only version of it is a 4x3 pan and scan version. I'm hoping that I've been trying to get it from our executive producer, who kind of won't let us have it. But it represented part of that period, and Groove was was one of those indie. We were all working in that the $1 million. You could still get a $1 million movie theatrically released, but I feel that A24. I mean, they're dipping they're doing the Friday the 13th, the Crystal Lake TV series, and they're doing now Texas Chainsaw, and they want to do more $90 million movies. But I think that the Charlie XCX film, The Moment, is exactly the kind of thing where you're combining the young audience because people are going to turn out. Mm-hmm. And Charlie XCX did the soundtrack for Emerald Fennell's
I saw that.
Wuthering Heights. So Charlie XCX is herself having a moment. So she's got, I mean, what a cool, and I wanted to talk to somebody from A24 and go, this was pretty canny of you guys. The Moment's coming out and Wuthering Heights is coming out. Did you guys, it should have been like Barbenheimer or Doomsday. You could have combined, you could have made it The Moment for Charlie XCX, but pretty neat that they're doing it. But it's really interesting because I think this is how you get younger people now who aren't necessarily interested in cinema. Like, I don't think when anyone goes sees the Charlie XCX movie that they're going to be looking at their phone. I don't think they want to miss a moment, so.
Yeah, that's the hope. And you know what? A24, I think they're still figuring it out. They're still figuring it out. And I think they're making a lot of interesting, smart moves. The thing you brought it up with Free Enterprise. The thing that was, and I can't speak to if they're doing this right now, but one of the issues that I ran into with A24 is they would take one of their movies that is kind of niche and they would release it in every theater. Like, like they would push for 2,000 screens. So it would be at the AMC and my smaller independent theater. And it's kind of like, I don't think it's smart to play it everywhere. Let's play it in one or two very specific parts of town so that your people will basically you're guiding people to that one spot so it'll generate more revenue. Otherwise, you have weak grosses at 9 theaters that are all near each other instead of one great gross. I think they did a really smart rollout of Marty Supreme, and in fact, I can't remember the date, but that is coming out now in France in February.
Right.
Because we walked by the Grand Rex, which is one of the theaters, and they were advertising that Timothée Chalamet would be there for opening night, which I thought was super cool. I was like, oh, that's pretty neat. And that's like a big, 2,500 seat venue. So that'll be kind of crazy.
Well, it's funny because his real name is literally Timothée Chalamet.
Timothée, yeah.
He's a Frenchman.
He's loved by the French.
Loved by the French, like Jerry Lewis, but different.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, I do think though that the idea of cinema as an art form needs to come back. And it's been tough because I love seeing what A24 is doing because they have been the one company that's allowed new directors like Ari Aster and like Robert Eggers to come and do genre cinema. It's kind of like A24 is the Avco embassy of today. I'd go see Phantasm, or it would be Avco Embassy, or Escape from New York, or The Fog was Avco Embassy, and and A24 has cultivated those filmmakers. Yeah, and we see. I'm really excited about Warner Brothers has that new division that's started by those 3 guys from Neon. I really hope that I'd love to do a sequel in The Hills Run Red for them. But why not? We're here. Yeah. We're ready. Let's do it. I wish. I know, right? But in all seriousness, if they're gonna start if they can make theatrical features, I think somebody like Roy Lee, who you can watch a great interview. I'll say great, but Roy Lee. There's a great interview with him on the channel. He kind of had carte blanche to make anything for $5 million or under, and that's how like Barbarian got greenlit. And look where he finds a filmmaker in Zach Kreger, recognizes that here's a guy who came out of sketch comedy online, finds him, and they make Barbarian for less than $5 million. It becomes a pretty big hit at 40 million, 45 million theatrical. He is able to go make a deal for Weapons, and get a $38 million deal. Zach Kreger gets paid, and they make Weapons, and it becomes a huge hit for Warner Brothers. Huge hit. And suddenly you have a new filmmaker in Zach Kreger. He's doing Resident Evil. He's got his movie The Flood, which I can't wait to see over it. Hopefully it'll be made at Netflix. So now you have studios that are cultivating filmmakers the way they used to in the late 70s and early 80s for us genre fans. So I want to see more of that, and hopefully younger people, they're following A24, but they're bringing in more cinema fans that will follow. If you have to have a cult of personality and use social media like what Mark Capiller did for Iron Lung, it's pretty interesting how theatrical events can be low budget genre films. Or interesting, like The Moment couldn't have cost that much money. Yeah. And you're going to get all of Charlie XCX's fans coming in. And maybe they'll see Alexander Skarsgård and go see him in Pilon, that film. Yeah. Maybe they'll do it.
Yeah. What you're talking about basically is the mid-budget film, which has kind of disappeared. Yeah. And I was talking to a friend earlier today about this, how it almost seems like the studios just they have to bet big because they only want to win big, and like something like a Masters of the Universe. It's like, I don't know how much that's going to cost, but it looks like a very expensive movie. And of course, you and I always lament like, well, why can't you just take 10 million and make 10 $1 million movies?
Right.
They just don't see the value, or it's not worth it to them. The time and effort and what you'd get back if one of them hits is not worth it enough for them to do it. Now, this also ties into one of the things I noticed in France that I was very intrigued and excited about, which is I watched a lot of their original films, and in particular, especially on the plane ride home, I literally watched 5 French films in a row because I'm like, I'm not going to be able to see these otherwise. Some of them end up on Netflix, usually the action French
Right.
films. But
With the mystery
I just
stuff.
wanted to. There was like certain actors and people that I was kind of interested in, and I noticed that the logos at the beginning of almost all these movies were either UGC Cinemas, which is basically their equivalent of AMC. That's one of the big chains that I took photos of, or MK2, which is also kind of like more of an art house theater. That there's like 3 of those. Basically, they have and Studio Canal. Now that really blew me. Studio Canal does all these incredible restorations of classic films there, but they've got their hand in everything. Studio Canal also has pretty much the only streaming service there, Canal Plus. I mean, yes, there's Netflix. I don't think HBO Max or any of these other ones have really made it overseas yet. Canal Plus is a huge one.
Yeah.
And my point being is, here the theaters complain about not having enough product, especially in a January, right? Because the studios aren't making enough product. And it was just so perfect because I'm seeing all this, and I get back and I see a tweet from Justine Bateman, who's very vocal about a lot of things, and I think she's got a lot of valid points. But basically her tweet was like, hey, AMC, Regal, Cinemark, if you're complaining about product, why don't you step up and finance product? Why don't you make your own movies? And that was literally what I was saying, because I'm like, well, that's what these theaters in France are doing, is they're servicing that mid-budget, like, you know, they're spending whatever, $1 million, $2 million bucks on films that there was one I saw, I'm drawing a blank on the name. I'll find it in a second. But basically, there are these very fun, quirky ideas that you just don't see anymore. Example, and forgive me, I should have had this ready. One of the films I watched, the translation of it is called Cycle of Time. I don't know what the French title is. It's a C'était mon domaine, but basically it's about a couple in 1957 suburb France. Okay, like an older couple, and they have kids or whatever. And the father is like a traditional nonstop smoking Frenchman. He's a banker, and in the opening scene, it's like a montage of him meeting all these people, and he's meeting a market owner, and he approves the loan for him. He's like, you know what? These supermarkets are never going to take off, so I'm going to give you a bunch of money. Don't worry about it. And then the next person that comes in is somebody pitching him car seatbelts, and he's like, I don't see French people ever wearing a seatbelt in a car, so no, you're denied. And then the next person is a German guy who's like pitching his company that will make that where people make their own furniture, and he's like, listen, IKEA, nobody's ever going to build their own. Oh, Swedish, I'm sorry. Nobody's ever going to build their own furniture, so you're also denied. And, you know, again, it's like all these poor decisions in the 50s that we know the punchline to. It's very quirky and funny. And long story short, he's their traditional French couple. The wife wins like a new modern washing machine. It's a very neat thing. They get in a fight over it. They get electrocuted. And now they wake up in 2025. Not like they time traveled to 25. Their entire life has now been forwarded to 2025, where their kids are modern 2025 kids, and they're still in their 50s mindset, but they can't understand that he can't smoke everywhere that he wants to smoke. It's a very quirky, funny premise. And I'm just like, see, this is something that you don't need 25, 30, 40, $100 million to make this idea. But and I'm pretty sure that was one of the ones that was co-financed by UGC Cinemas. And I'm like, this is, when you have all this other stuff playing, all the big budget stuff, whatever, this is a serviceable, quirky comedy in the Back to the Future vein that is also playing.
Well, look,
why can't we have stuff like that? You know,
well, I think that okay. I have a couple of answers to that. I mean, first of all,
sure.
you've now seen people like when Taylor Swift went directly to AMC and said, look, I want to
sure.
release my Eras Tour movie through you. It played in other theater chains like Regal and all that. That was a really, again, an incredible move on her part. And
yes,
it was very, very interesting. Now, what I would like to see, obviously, the problem with making films and people knowing what's, even our studios, there's very few people in Hollywood. You go back to William Goldman, nobody knows anything. Yeah. And as Roy Lee even told me, it's very hard to find great material. There's not a lot of great material out there. So you're asking movie theaters, especially in this country, they have no idea how to make movies. The people they have barely any idea how to keep movie theaters open. You know, you look at all these, let's have different pricing based on the time people go. I mean, it seems it's such a weird thing to me. You got to lower your prices and make your concessions. It's funny. Everybody seems to be listening to the economist Milton Friedman about late stage capitalism. We have to have profit above everything else. You know, it doesn't matter. And I was having a conversation today. I'm like, well, that sounds great. You're going to make your shareholders as much money as you possibly can, but you also have to make sure the foundation of your business, which is moviegoers, are able to afford to go. The reason people came to the movies is it used to be a cheap art form to participate in. It wasn't expensive, so everybody could go. And nowadays, I mean, there's even times when I'm like, even I think, and normally I wouldn't care, but if it's going to cost me $22 to go see a movie, I'm like, that's not good. And even now I'm like, that's how much money do I have? Everyone is trying to soak everyone else all the time. I mean, whether you're paying this software that I'm using right now, I bought this software, and on February 1st, it turned into, for me, a subscription service. So I own this. I own this software, and now I either pay $500 for the year up front, or it's $99 a month. And I've been using this software for 6 years. And I just clicked on my software, and I had all my things built up, and I'm like, oh my God. So I owned this software, but because it's connected to the internet, the software that I owned had been transformed and turned into a subscription service, which is, I don't have an extra $500 to sign up for the year. So I did what I had to do, which is just pay the $99, and I'll re-up for the year. But then can I go 90 monthly? I mean, and if everything is like that, and movie theaters were the one, even in the Great Depression, people could go see movies. So we have to figure out a way, how can movie theaters, and people only go to see in America blockbuster films. They're not going to see, like, the thing about the Charlie XCX thing is that then you have to be able, if you have a YouTube presence, and she does, she's all over social media, everybody knows her, she can use her social media presence, which is better than any kind of marketing a studio could do, and get people to come into the theater. And so it'll be a moment for fans of Charlie XCX to go see the moment. And Markapiller did the same thing. But then again, are those movies, like you said, the moment looked great to me. I was already going to go see it, but hearing you talk about it, I'm like, okay, it's a great film. It's very meta, very cool. But that's also, that requires great filmmakers to be able to make those films. And it's funny, after seeing her, now that I have a sense of who she is as a person, I don't think she would have made a film that sucked. Yeah. I was like, she's a very smart individual, a true artist. And like you said, her music, not necessarily my thing, but she knows what she's doing. And I wouldn't have expected that she would make a movie like The Moment if it wasn't good. Yeah. But we need more of that. And how can we get, and you pointed out earlier, they're looking at Wall Street. They're going for the Milton Friedman, as much profit as possible. But what about having a solid foundation and creating a consumer base like us when we would go see an Avco Embassy movie like Escape from New York that cost $4.5 million? We didn't expect it to be Star Wars. Yeah. You know, we expected it to be not Lawrence of Arabia, but Escape from New York. We could watch movies at scale, which is what I always say. And we understand that we don't have to watch, Dr. Doom shooting Earths together like they're pool balls in order to get our rocks off. We could watch a $1 million movie and still get as much out of it as a $100 million movie. And I wonder if that mindset is there, but A24 has sort of brought that back. And we have to turn, especially for younger people, the idea that movies don't just have to be events. You can go see Markapiller's movie that costs $3 million and still get something out of it.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's very tough because I think, one of the smart things I think that a lot of the chains picked up on, which was inspired by Movie Pass, is making a subscription service where you can go as often as you like, because when you break it down to, well, it's going to cost me $22 for this one thing.
Yeah.
But if you're paying a monthly fee, maybe you will take a chance on a smaller movie like the I don't know, like the Jim Jarmusch movie, or just something that you normally wouldn't pay that full price for. I think that's smart program, or that's smart way to give consumers value to it. I am concerned about all this stuff because I don't know if we can put the genie back in the bottle post-pandemic in terms of, I feel like the studios did it to themselves. They all rushed to do their own streaming services and kind of kill off the theaters in a panic. The only company that didn't start a streaming service that is very smart and profiting of it is Sony, because Sony just puts all their movies to Netflix and they take their licensing fees. So,
and they all just re-up that deal too.
And I mean, if you want it, you can make fun of Madam Web all you want, but it what was it, a $10-12 million movie, and it did really great on Netflix. Like, everyone saw it there. So it in terms of, it wasn't like a $300 million movie like the Marvels that lost a lot of money. It was modest for what it was, even though it's not a good movie.
Sure.
The thing that bothers me most about here, and I just don't know, I don't see the major studios changing it anytime soon, is what we call windows. Basically, they put out a movie, and I think Warner Brothers now has a 45-day window,
right,
on average. And Universal is what they feel like. If it's Wicked for good, they're going to hold on to that as long as in theaters, as long as possible. And then after that, they're going to make you pay $19.99 or $24.99 for it to buy it digitally. And then it'll go to Peacock. But if it's Megan 2, it's on Peacock in under 3 weeks, you know? Right. And I find that's very unfair to theatrical, to American theaters. The thing that I was incredibly, basically, and this, we'll see, this is forgive me, this is somewhat political. In France, there are healthy windows. It is a government restriction. This is where the government gets involved to protect the arts. I believe it is, and I sent you some figures, I believe it is a 17-month window between theatrical and streaming.
It is.
For example, even though 28 years later, The Bone Temple is out in France right now, you cannot see 28 years later. It is not streaming anywhere because it hasn't been 17 months. Now, I think some of them have been able to work down to 14 months. Studio Canal is the one exception. They have a 6-month window, which I still think is way more healthy than 45 days. They have a 6-month window because they co-finance productions. Right. So it's kind of like, well, if you're putting the money in, great, you'll get a little sooner. But what this does is it encourages people to go see the movie in the theater. It has not conditioned people like they are conditioned here to think, well, it's just going to be on Peacock soon or HBO Max in 2 months or whatever. So I think that's one thing that's really fascinating about France, is that they have really, and they keep trying, again, they're fighting, you know, the people are fighting the streaming services like Disney. I think Disney got theirs knocked down quite a bit in France, but it's still a much longer window than we have here in America. And by the way, this is across the board. Alyssa, my partner, was telling me that Uber is not very popular there. Lyft never made it over, and they have their own service called Bolt, which is similar. And basically, they put restrictions on Uber to not put taxi services out of business. So you still have the option of getting a cab, an Uber, or their service Bolt. This one blew me away. Amazon is fighting hard to get a foothold in France, and they do not have it. If you want to order a book from Amazon, you have to order a minimum of $35 worth of books before they will ship it to you, I believe, for free shipping. If it's under that, you have to pay the full shipping price. And you can't combine things. It's not like I'm going to buy a book and then $35 worth of other stuff. No, you have to buy $35 worth of books before they ship it to you, because they're protecting their independent bookstores. They would rather you go and buy books in person than get that. Basically, they're restricting them from getting a monopoly. And I think it's only like they can only charge 5% below what the list price is or something along those lines. And I don't know, man. I kind of like the idea of government restricting things for the benefit of the arts. That's my controversial statement.
No, but I don't think that I don't think that's controversial at all. I mean, it goes back to this whole, I do believe in the free market capitalist economy. The problem is everybody's greedy. Human beings are greedy. And the first thing anybody does when we have free market capitalism is they figure out, how can I subvert free market capitalism and make more profit? To the to the expense of the environment, to the expense of human beings, to the expense of everybody. The problem with that is, if you're a Milton Friedman acolyte, the problem with that is you're eroding the very civilization that's going to give you the money that's going to make your profit in the first place. So in my mind, it's always self-defeating. The fact is, how much money and Wall Street will want, these publicly held companies, whether it's Disney, whether it's Warner Brothers, we want to see as much shareholder value every quarter as possible. Mm-hmm. Well, that's fine, but if that's your only metric and you're dealing with a business like movie making, where people are like, you have to just jack up your profits and do this, the fact is, movies aren't really like that. It's not like you're selling a commodity that also is cultural and it's artistic and it's artisanal, and it depends when a movie comes out and what it's about and the cultural zeitgeist. And yet they're trying to use numbers as if it's just a product, like any commodity, like baked beans or lumber or whatever, and that's not how movies work. And so what's happened is movies have been turned into a numbers game. What was the box office this week? I mean, I love seeing that Chloe Zhao's Hamnet is making money and that people are going out and seeing it, and it's up for Best Picture. I thought that was a beautiful movie, that it's amazing it even got made in this day and age.
Well, and they did a very strategic, smart, slow rollout.
Yeah.
It wasn't forcing it into 1,000 theaters where we knew it wasn't going to work. It was more of a slow rollout. And again, Neon and A24 on the small scale. Focus Features, which is a division of Universal, they're very smart about rolling out their films too, because they do take a similar approach where they don't go too wide, like on something like Conclave. They didn't give it to any of my theaters. They just put it in a very select markets and slowly, push it out. And then it became an Oscar contender.
Average, and let that per-screen average stay high. And it's like, look, Conclave is never going to be some $250 million grossing worldwide breakthrough. It just isn't. No. But the thing is, I want to live in a world where a Conclave exists. And I think everybody else does too. And we're now in a position, everyone's trying to figure out, how do we get kids with their adult attention spans and all that coming back to theaters? Well, what you do, and I saw it with Iron Lung with my own eyes, and the studios are all looking around like, well, how did this happen? Well, I mean, you had a guy, a star, there's no more movie stars left, but Markiplier is a star. But nobody that is, they don't know who or what he is or what does this mean or all. It's like, no. That guy has tens of millions of people that he talks to directly, and he comes out and makes a movie, and people want to support him because they like him. I wish I had if I'd started this YouTube channel 15 years ago, I mean, let's face it, I'm an acquired taste. But if I had that, if I had 10 million followers, I would be, or what Young Ripa did with the Ripaverse comics and things like that. Yeah, he's created, and he just started a new digital download for his comic book things. He was very smart. He invests $100 million or $100,000, prints ISOM 1, 96-page graphic novel, gets everybody involved. I hope to do the same thing with True Noir. I just don't have the followers, but True Noir did get worldwide distribution. It drops February 17th. And a lot of it was because of the people on this channel that helped it out. But we have true worldwide distribution. I saw, like in Google Japan, there was an ad for it. You can order it in Japan. But this is the new way to do things, and I think that A24 has figured that out. I love, you can be a member of their A24 is the thing. their physical media, if you buy it directly from them, what they did with Ty West's Maxine trilogy, or what is it? What do you want to? What is that trilogy called? What is that? The official?
The X trilogy, I guess.
The X trilogy. A24 did an incredible package. The physical media of that is worth buying, like what they did with Stop Making Sense for the 4K release, and then you can get a discount. And for your birthday, they'll send you a thing if you're a member. And not only can you buy something from their shop, they'll send it to you without shipping. You don't have to pay shipping. They'll just send it to you. And so A24 they're cultivating their business across many different platforms, and they're playing in to where we're at today. And they've created a whole group of people that want to support an A24 movie. They'll just go if it's A24. And I think that the major studios are not doing this because they figure they don't have to, but they should do that. I mean, I really hope that Warner Brothers and Marvel go all in on Doomsday, because Florence Pugh is in both movies. You know, and do ad campaigns where they're, I don't know if you've seen any, like the Dunkin' Donuts preview commercials that Ben Affleck is in. They're They're hilarious. The one with Jen, and the different actors. I saw one for DoorDash with Bradley. Matthew McConaughey and Groot. Why am I drawing? Bradley
Diesel?
Cooper. No, Bradley Cooper. Hilarious. I mean, just hilarious. And it's that kind of, or all the Marshawn Lynch stuff that he's been doing lately. You've got to do that to cultivate. People are talking about, how do you get people to come back to the movies? Well, you make it an event across many different platforms, and yet you still make the movie the most important part of that. So
at the end of the day, it has to be a good movie. That's the most fundamental thing. Is you can't just keep putting out, you just can't keep putting things together by committee or by what algorithms say. You have to make good movies, and you have to trust artists to make good movies. And I think that's the best. I'm like optimistic that last year it was mostly original films that did best. Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, of course, IP always does well, but it wasn't a slam dunk as a Sinners or a Weapons or One Battle After Another, things like that.
Well, I also think that audiences want something that is theirs. When we were kids, all of these IPs, when they were coming out, were new. So they were new to us. And, when you'd see a movie like Back to the Future, it was brand new. And everyone went and saw it. It became this fun thing it delivered. Nowadays, I would never rely on an IP. I mean, that's fine if you want to bolster your business, but it's far better for you if you can make something that costs less and it becomes a Sinners, or it becomes a One Battle After Another, or it becomes an A24 film, like The Moment, where you can have other people, you have new audiences. It's of their time. It's theirs. They can embrace it and go, this movie was mine. Barbenheimer. Barbie and Oppenheimer came out. That's going to be an event people remember forever. Those movies belong to the year they came out, belong to those people. There are people who are going to have memories about that, going to that experience and forever. And just like we did. And trying to get people to go buy or watch a 50-year-old IP, why should they do that? I mean, unless it's something that is timeless, like Jurassic Park. Kids will always want to watch dinosaurs eat people. You're always going to make money from that. But trying to continue to make Star Trek and continue to make Star Wars, unless it's really, really good, you can't rely on that IP to work. You've got to give somebody, and you've got to give the new generation, something that it's theirs. That's why Minecraft worked.
Yeah, that was very much theirs. Same with Five Nights at Freddy's, at least the first one. I mean, there's no logical that came out on Peacock and theaters simultaneously and did incredible on both.
Really well.
That was very specifically a young person. That was that young person's generation that really, connected to that. I mean, the only other point I wanted to make with you was that and I don't know, maybe I'm just speaking to the choir here, but it's like what always blows me away is that people that are cinephiles or at least modern movie fans don't want to go back beyond a certain point, right? It's like, I don't watch anything below that didn't come out after 2000.
I don't understand that.
Or I can't watch black and white movies or whatever the case is.
That's such an alien.
To me, it's a very alien thing. And that yet those same people might complain, well, there's nothing great there. I think there will forever be great stuff in the past that you don't even know about. And a perfect example, I was telling you a little bit before we started this chat was, so I'm in France and I'm watching French cinema, and I show my girlfriend Breathless because she'd never seen it, and really I wanted to show her
the Godard Breathless.
Godard Brothers, yeah. And really it's because I just wanted to show her the Linklater Nouvelle Vogue because that was one of my favorite films last year, and I loved it. And you won't really get it unless you see Breathless, and it was really funny because she'd never seen it, or maybe she'd seen bits of it, but she's sitting there and she was not into it at all. In other words,
funny, she's French and you're showing her one of the most famous bits of French New Wave cinema.
And then I realized, French people don't really like Godard. Like actual regular French audiences are like, what is this pretentious bullshit? So it was kind of funny to get that reaction out of her, but it opened up a great conversation because then she's like, you know what? I want to show you something that I grew up with. She's like, do you know who Louis Dufault is? And I'm like, no. And she's like, he was a great comedic actor. He did all these very, very funny movies. And here's the thing I love. Of course, Kino Lorber is the one that put them all out on Blu-ray, all these old classic French movies, which means they're all on Tubi for free. Like that was the best thing to discover. Oh, we can watch it right now on Tubi. So we watched the first Louis Dufault's movie, which was called The Adventures of Rabbi Jacob.
Oh yeah.
from like the early 70s. Yeah. And granted, there are some problematic elements that people might be offended by in modern day.
They need to
but
grow
it
up.
was hilarious. It was hilarious. We had so much fun and I was laughing my ass off. I was like, okay, I kind of get it. Then she showed me one of his other movies, Fantômas. Here's the thing. I know Fantômas in the background. I know that Mike Patton has a band called Fantômas. I have never seen a Fantômas movie. So these are the 60s Fantômas movies. There's early, they're based on
which
French
you can now
literature.
get on disc.
You can, or watch it on Tubi like I did for free. So we watched the first Fantômas from the 60s, and it is, basically what it is there is a series of French James Bond movies, OSS 117. Very serious in the 60s or trying to be James Bond-ish. And then more recently, they made a trilogy of them that's kind of veering more towards Austin.
Hilarious.
Yeah, more towards Austin Powers territory.
By the way, Kino Lorber put out the originals.
Yes, I have the box set of that.
Box set of the originals.
And I bought the newer trilogy in France of the newer guy who does it.
The first one, the OSS, not the one in Cairo. It's the even the grain, the grain they use. I mean that man. It stars Jean. I can't pronounce his name. The star of The Artist.
Yes, he's a very famous. Yes, he's a very famous French actor.
He plays it's so good. So anyway, I love those movies.
Well, here's the multiple points I'm hitting on. If you're a James Bond fan or even an Austin Powers fan, we just named 5, 6, 7, 8 movies that you can watch. OSS 117 that exist. There's a whole franchise that exists. But Fantômas really blew me away because it's basically the producers of OSS 117 wanted to do something in the vein of James Bond, but a little bit more fun. And so they revived this old Fantômas silent thing.
Yeah.
And he's the chameleon from the Amazing Spider-Man. There's a criminal mastermind that's doing all these like robberies and heists in France. They don't think he's real. A journalist writes an article about saying, I don't believe he's real. But the real Fantômas shows up and he's a guy with a blue face and he could put on masks and look like anybody else. And and Louis Dufault, the actor from the last movie, he is the bumbling inspector. He is the comedic relief of it all. And by the way, by the time we got to that, now I got him. I'm like, now I understand why he was a French superstar, because nobody is like him. He's a very specific comedic personality, like a Robin Williams or something like that for French audiences. And now I'm like, oh my God, there's a trilogy of 60s Fantomos movies. There's the old silent films that Kino Lorber put out from the 20s. There's a remake coming out. A modern one is happening. There's a TV series from a few years ago. And here it is, like, this all stemmed from her not liking Godard, and now all of a sudden, now I'm on the OSS 117 and Fantomos train. It's like these two franchises that I didn't even know existed, really, that all are from the 60s. And to me, that's the thrill, right? Is discovering that there's so much great cinema. There's so many great movies still out there yet to be discovered. That's why I did the entire Bergman run all of 2025, which, again, we were going to do a podcast about it eventually, Cinema Palette. I wrote it into an article. There's a Cinema Palette article on Bergman. Yeah, and that would be fun, because I want people, the way that I'm excited about these films, I want people that watch your show to be like, you know what, I've never heard of those. I'm going to give those a shot. And again, you can watch Fantomos or The Adventures of Rabbi Jacob on Tubi. Tubi, by the way, is one of the greatest secret weapons of all time, because I'm finding so many obscure 80s movies, 80s comedies, 80s horror titles, old TV shows, things that I thought I dreamed of in childhood are on Tubi right now for free. And it has been such a joy to just rediscover some of these films, especially when you get kind of burnt or tired on new movies that aren't delivering the way they should.
Okay. You know, one of the things that, have you seen, it's on Netflix. Have you seen the Hindi movie? I think it's pronounced Durandar.
No,
Durandar?
Not yet.
It's Durandh. Like, look, what, you know, RRR, when RRR came out, like Chris Gore was touting it.
Yes.
It's an acquired taste. You know, like when I first saw it.
I love it.
Well, Durandar is like a 3-hour and 15-minute crime thriller in India. You know, it's an Indian.
Okay.
and the funny thing about these Indian movies is like, I love the people that they have populating these movies. The actors, both the men and the women, are like these beautiful but very Indian people. Like, I love watching because they don't look anything like Americans. And I just love the way I love the way Indian men in these movies shave their beards. You know, I'm like, how would you even do that? How could I do that? You know, and they'll play some great Indian music in the middle of a gun battle. I mean, and
right.
You know, this movie was a little bit more grounded than RRR was.
Yeah.
But you know, I remember having the conversation. Most American audiences, I'm surprised that more Indian movies like don't come to America, but it's because you have to have that mindset. If you can't, I talk to a lot of people that they could watch RRR for 10 minutes and then they turn it off. They're like, right. I can't, this is a cartoon. I can't deal with it. You know, you have to train yourself to watch what they're going for, because why does a crime thriller have to be 3.5 hours long and have all this romance and music in it as well? I mean, it's so...
It's very of their culture. It's very of their culture.
Yeah.
And by the way, I will fight you on that a little. All these Indian movies do come out in America, and they have theatrical releases and do great business.
Right.
They only play for 2 days. They play like Wednesday and Thursday. It is a very Indian thing. There's a lot of pockets, very high population pockets of Indian communities all across the country.
They're very targeted.
So they're very targeted, but they do business. They play for a Wednesday and a Thursday night, and that's it. They don't want to see it after the opening week for whatever reason. It's like a very cultural thing that they have to see it first and right away. But they do play, and they do really great. And my good friend Cedric, who is one of my friends in France that I went to see movies with, he, ever since RRR, he is all in on the Indian film train. He sees everything, but in France, he seeks out the Indian movies wherever they play there. He's like really into it.
I mean, there's been some trailers for Indian horror films. I'm like, this stuff looks bonkers. And I've wanted to get it. You can't get physical media here. You can't get these movies in 4K. And like, Durandar, I was watching it, and it was like 4:00 in the morning, and I go upstairs. I just sat down with the dogs or whatever, and they're just happy I came up for this Robservatory, and I'm like, I'm just gonna watch something because I'll watch anything for like 10 minutes before I go to bed, just to see something I haven't. And this popped up, and I started watching this. I think I might have watched it for like 2 hours. The sun was coming out. I'm like, I gotta go to bed. And I'm like, I am loving this movie. I did this just the other day, and I'm like, what is this? And it's like the biggest blockbuster of 2025. And I was like, I want to buy this 4K. Can't buy the 4K. And
of course you do.
I'm just. Where is it? Can I buy it? And in film school we'd watch like the Apu trilogy. In terms of Indian movies, it's like the poverty and the plight of the Indian people. These movies are 100,000 light years diametrically opposed. Sahaji Ray movies like the Apu trilogy. And I'm like, I'm all in.
I dig Bollywood horror a lot. I have one box set. Have you ever seen the Bollywood Nightmare on Elm Street?
No.
You know what? I have a pristine Blu-ray of it. I'm bringing it over. Like we're watching. It's 3 hours long, but it is.
Is there musical numbers?
Yes, of course.
Of course.
Yes. And there's an Indian Freddy Krueger who has hair. He's burnt, but he's got a full head of hair.
Of course he does.
It's incredible. I'm going to bring it over. That's one I'd like to gift. I'd like to gift you the experience of that movie.
But that's another thing, man. How come there's not more presence of Indian films in America? Because you have to train an audience. I've often said anybody can actually watch a movie, but to actually sit down and focus, you got to put your phone away. It's a skill. You have to teach yourself how to watch movies from different countries. Like I remember when I saw Hard Boiled for the first time. I saw it in a theater I saw it at the New Art, and John Woo was in attendance. That was back when the killer had suddenly exploded, and we all watched Hard Boiled. But I tried to show it to some friends, and they just didn't buy into it. They couldn't, because there was a certain level of operatic. It's operatic, and the action was a little bit too over the top, a little bit too. I didn't think so when I first saw The Killer was my first John Woo movie, and if you watch his Bullet in the Head, which is really hardcore, I think. But you have to teach yourself, and Indian movies are the next frontier for me, because I don't know. I've seen Robot, and I've seen RRR, and in America they brought Lagan. Sony brought Lagan, or Columbia brought Lagan to America, the cricket movie, which I own. I bought that. I really liked that.
Wow.
But there's something about, the women in Bollywood movies are incredibly beautiful, and I'm just like, and the guys are, again, the impeccably trimmed beards, and and people just break out into songs in the middle of a gunfight. So why not?
Yeah,
where's that market? How come you can't see all these films that are being made all around the world? There's these on YouTube there's film recaps.
Yeah.
There's film recaps of all these science fiction and horror movies from foreign countries that I've never seen and can't find. And I'm like, where is this? Where can I get this? Vinegar Syndrome put out Time Crimes. I'm like, oh, click 4K, I gotta get that.
Yeah, cool movie.
Such a good movie.
Yeah, I don't know. The one thing I'll give Netflix credit for, I don't know, again, unless you're going to put you need to spend money to make money in theatrical. People need to know these things are playing. And I don't know if these foreign films are worth it it depends on who the company is. But I feel like I'll give credit to Netflix. I think one of the cool things they have done is they have gone all in on Indian films. They've gone all in on Korean stuff. I 100%. Love the Korean stuff, and now it's there's so much Korean television and movies on Netflix. I wish I could find more French stuff on there. They're pretty sparse on that, because again, I watched a lot of it in the last month, and I was really intrigued by a lot of the different stories. As you've always said, everyone's got a story to tell, and it's there are a lot of different stories out there. So I don't know. Really quick, something I'll bring to your attention, and I don't know if you want to just skim through the pictures of some of the theaters or whatever.
I want to do that first. By the way, I just want to point out that Durandar is 3 hours and 34 minutes long, which is exactly how long Avengers Doomsday should be. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So I got. Did you want to talk? You want to go through the pictures? Okay, I'm gonna switch it so you can see the pictures. Oh, first of all, Miss 50 in Still Metal sends in a tip and says, "Great conversations, Rob and Rob. Absolute cinematic respect for the French."
Awesome.
I love Miss 50 in Still Metal. One day I hope to meet her. Maybe I have met her, and she just doesn't want me to know that. But she's been a great watcher of the channel. So you can now see the live output. I'm going to go to your pictures, and we're going to take a look at them. And which is this?
Yeah. So this is the UGC theater in Goblins.
Sorry, I have these on a 5-second. I didn't mean to do that. I'm just going to see if I can just keep these going. It's like a slideshow. It's on a
I see. Okay.
So
we're adjusting.
Yeah.
I can't talk in 5. I can't sum these up in 5 seconds.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why it did this. To be honest, it imported them as movies. But
we're totally professional. That's where I saw Father, Mother, Sister, and Brother. And yes, this is the Grand Action Cinema. That's our repertory theater that does, as you see, City of Fire was playing there when I was there.
Yeah.
Marty Supreme coming in February. Maybe I can't talk really fast for this.
Well, no, you know what I can do is I'll just come back to you. I'll show one and then come back to you. that way, I apologize about that. But so we can, let's just do this. So now I can go between. Actually, I can't. This is very interesting, the way they have this set up. I don't even know. I'd never done this before. I'd imported all these pictures, and it turned them in. To be fair, this software was updated just the other day. So this is functionality I've never had to deal with before. So you've got that first. I mean, if you go back to this one, we take a look at that, and why don't you tell us a little bit about that theater?
Okay, so UGC is kind of, like I said, the equivalent to AMC. There's a lot of them all over Paris. And by the way, I should preface and say that the amount of these theaters and the diversity of these theaters is pretty exclusive to Paris. I was told that once you're outside in the suburbs and further south, they just play kind of the Hollywood movies dubbed in French. But in Paris proper, there's all these theaters and a lot of variety to it. But UGC is the closest that you'd get to a multiplex. And from those pictures that you saw, the first one, and again, you could find, if you go to my website, it's linked there, robertvgluza.com, under blog posts. It's under interviews and articles, blog posts. You'll see Cinemas in Paris, where you can see these, and I do a little bit of history on each theater and chain. But the stuff that's playing there, if you looked in the marquee, it's that Kremlin movie, the Wizard of Kremlin with Jude Law and Paul Dano. There's a movie called Palestine 36 playing with Jeremy Irons that takes place in Palestine from 1936.
Yep.
Again, there's no date for that to come out here. There is The Secret Agent is playing there right now, which has all this Oscar buzz on it. There was also a Japanese movie called Kabuki or Kokuko, which I saw the trailer for it. It looks like it's about the son of a gangster becoming a Kabuki actor. There's a Jessica Chastain movie I kept seeing the trailer for every time I was there, for a movie called Dreams, which I thought I imagined, but she's an American socialite that's having an affair with an undocumented Mexican ballet dancer that she brought over.
Right.
And I saw this trailer and I'm like, is this a real movie? Like, this is going to play in theaters here? This is amazing. Apparently, it's getting a limited theatrical here in America at the end of February, but we'll see about that. And by the way, when you were showing those pictures, inside the UGC Goblins was a bunch of teddy bears.
Yeah, that's this picture.
Let me explain that for you. Yes, let me explain that to you really quickly. So back in, so my girlfriend lives in a section of town called Goblins. And I believe it was back in 2018 this started. Basically, it was the owner of a bookshop. Just wanted to do something that would make people smile. So he put out these 2 giant teddy bears in front of the store, in like kind of positioned in like human ways, like they were like reading books or something. And for some reason, a photo of that became viral that then everybody in this neighborhood, all the shops and all these people, started buying giant teddy bears and positioning them in kind of human human positions. So I have a whole montage. It's really cute because it does make you smile. You walk by and you see two of them sitting in a lobby somewhere, and you're like, yeah, that's kind of cute. I like that. The other theater that we just saw was Pathé, I think it's called. That is literally like 2 doors down from
that's this theater,
the Goblins Theater. Yeah, that's literally a few doors down, and it's a smaller theater that primarily shows stuff in French dub.
Now you can see in this that these theaters are built. They're like mixed use buildings, as we'd call them in the States. You know, there's residential, there's apartments above, and these buildings are like 6 stories. So there's apartments above them, and you can just walk down into these theaters, and they're just in neighborhoods, which I love.
Yeah, it's great. And again, you just walk a few blocks and you'll hit another one. So yeah, Cinema Esquirrel, this is where I saw the Jim Jarmusch movie, 2 screens. Really nice theater. This is when I flew into Paris for my birthday in 2019 in the before times, and we went straight to that theater to see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh wow!
And which was a great experience.
Well, let me I'll just play. I don't know why it did this. This is weird. I got to figure this out. But I'll just play this whole thing and let it play, and then we can go back to pictures. But if you want to just talk about what you're seeing,
yeah, I think that's the quickest way to do it. So so that's the theater that I saw Jim Jarmusch at. Let's see what's coming up. Yeah, I'm just pointing it out. And then you could Grand Action. We already kind of mentioned. Right down the block from Grand Action is a place called Breakfast in America. It's one of the few diners that does American style breakfast, and it is wonderful. And I tried to take photos sometimes of some of the programming just so you can get a sense of like, okay, this is a repertoire theater that's playing My Fair Lady, but then they're also going to show Marty Supreme in February, which is kind of cool. Let's see what else. This is Ecolis. There's 2 locations, and it's a cinema club. It's all repertoire. I saw the original Psycho play here back in 2018. And while we were there, as you'll see, it'll go to the marquee. This was their programming for the month of January, right there.
Wow, Tokyo Godfathers.
Yep.
Look at that.
Or Cinema Paradiso, Barry Lyndon. Incredible.
Wow.
And they also sold Dario Argento T-shirts at the counter, which I thought was kind of cool.
There's La La Land's playing. You got Coppola retrospective. I mean, this is exactly the kind of thing. I mean, you'd see like this reminds me of this Egyptian theater where the Seattle Film Festival was held. You know, they would just show. Yeah. I mean, it's so cool. This is cool.
Yeah, this is just another UGC. I don't really go into they're a chain. So, but I always like to see these are literally a block apart and they're showing slightly different movies. So I always found that fascinating.
Oh, look at this! This is like look at that. How gorgeous is that?
So MK2 has 3 locations, and this is a very French location that specifically shows. It's more on the art house side, or they show foreign films or films in French language. I didn't have a chance to go in. I just kind of visited the few locations and took photos of them, but very, very classy spot. And again, I've noticed their logo as co-financiers on some original features as well.
Nice.
This is the Nouvelle Odeon, which I think is a 1 screen. And this is a bit more, way more independent. They were showing something called The Stranger, Dossier 137, which is Case 137, another film that has no release date here. But this is where they would have played Linklater's Nouvelle Vogue. And
that's
that theater. And I also saw on their calendar, they were showing one of Hitchcock's rare silent films. It was called American Style, but it's actually Champagne.
Wow. Okay.
Which I thought was cool. Yeah. And then the next one right here is the Studio Galant. We've never been there, but as you can see, this is a repertoire theater. They play Rocky Horror every, I think it's every Friday or Saturday on the weekends. And they were doing a David Lynch retrospective in January while we were there. With
I just
a little
love
bit of Kubrick mixed in.
Yeah. I mean, this could be a bookstore. You know, it could be a gallery. I love that.
Yeah. So these next ones are all literally in on the same block. La Chempo they were showing a new film called La Cid, but also doing a Jim Jarmusch retrospective simultaneously with showing a new movie.
Wow.
And this theater is apparently it was notable for important figures in French cinema spending a lot of time here. So apparently this is where a lot of people went to see films.
Nice.
And then Reflect Medics, this is literally within a stone's throw away from the last theater. And they show really odd movies. They were showing Fire Walk with Me, Stalker, Necromantic 2 is on the calendar. And
what?
Yeah, my partner told me that this is the place where she saw a lot of Dario Argento films.
Wow.
So that's the kind of stuff they show there. This is one of my favorite places, La Filmothèque in the Quarter Latin. I have a few pictures. If you're able to pause that middle one, they were doing a Coppola retrospective, but they were also showing After Hours and Magnolia and Lost Highway. I saw in 2019, Alyssa, they were doing a Tarantino retrospective to coincide with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And Alyssa and I went to see Inglourious Bastards here, which I didn't realize until that moment, because when they show American films, for the most part, they show them in English with French subtitles. I didn't remember that Inglourious Bastards, most of it is not in English.
Right.
So it was mostly...
Petite.
It's a lot of German with French subtitles. It's a lot of French with no subtitles. The only scenes in English are the 3 scenes with Brad Pitt. And it kind of dawned on me, and I'm like, wow, like they always say that subtitled films won't perform in America. Quentin Tarantino got away with putting out a mostly subtitled movie. Again, until you see it in a different country, you don't realize how little English is in that movie.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yes. And let's see what else we have here coming up.
The Quarter Latin.
Yeah, that's the same theater. This is I consider this a new Bev of Paris.
Wait.
The Cinema Pantheon, I didn't get to go in. This is, I believe, a 2-screen theater, but it also has a cafe and a quote unquote salon where people can get together and have coffee and pastries, play original independent French cinema. And I believe on my article, I linked to their Instagram page, because if you go to their Instagram page, you could see in their stories kind of a look inside at the coffee part of it.
Nice.
And then this next one coming up is it's in this great little section in the middle of this long street in Rue Mouffetard, which is all these restaurants and bars and shops. It's just kind of hidden in there, but they show a dozen different movies, and it's usually, again, it was all of the weird French stuff that was playing there.
Yeah.
There was an ad for this place. They were showing E.T. they were doing breakfast movies. It was something like a croissant and a movie with a little cup of coffee, and they were showing E.T. And I'm like, I'd be into that. Like, you pay one price and you get croissant, coffee, movie. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I thought that was really cool.
Let's go back to hang on. Let's do that. There we go here. So that's that. Yeah. And then we go to
Le Clef. This one was closed. This was closed down, but was getting ready to reopen at the end of January. So I assume they're open now. And it is a theater that I believe Martin Scorsese kind of threw his weight behind it. Maybe even Tarantino on a anonymous basis. Now, I don't know much about it other than that the Le Cliff Revival Collective was trying to take it over, a nonprofit organization. And this seems like a little bit of a, maybe they show controversial works that they could then discuss. Like it's more about political films and short films
like
and lesser known works. Yes, probably. And then, but it looked like they were building a bar on the inside. I think that's what the renovations were. And you could kind of see a door to the right there, which is going to be a bar cafe section.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, you can keep going. Again, more UGCs. There's tons of them everywhere. And I was more fascinated by what was on the marquee. I'm always fascinated by what's currently playing there, you know?
Yeah. Now this looks nice. What's this?
This is the Les Seven Passions, and it is a 7-screen theater that has an outdoor garden inside. It's an art house cinema, and they play everything from art house films to kind of like concert films and things like that, from what I understand.
Nice.
And this is also kind of it's both a repertoire. If you see that marquee back there, there's like, even though they only have like 3 screens, they pack it with so much programming. So there were foreign films playing there. There was things like that Dossier 134, but they were also doing screenings of One Battle After Another, which is no longer playing, but they're squeezing in kind of these theatrical. I think you're going to get a look at.
Are they running
prints
or DCPs? Like, what are they projecting?
I think 99% of these are all doing DCPs.
Yeah,
I
okay.
think even the repertoire theaters, I believe it's very difficult to get film prints there, and even if they do
Sure.
have them, it's pretty hard to transport them. So my understanding is that 99% of these spaces are DCPs. Yeah, these are all the movies that are playing at that little theater, including revivals of One Battle After Another and Begonia.
There you go. I can see it right up there. With the Cinema Club, the Christine Cinema Club.
This is the sister site of Icole, the cinema club where I saw Psycho that one time. Now we've never been here. This is our first time kind of like poking in there. And if you go to my articles, some of them have a little bit of video, but you'll see in the next few pictures, I actually took photos of their programming. They're showing Charlie Chaplin's The Kid. I know they have the original Scream on their docket coming up. Donnie Darko, Kess. Funny Games, the original Funny Games, Requiem for a Dream, Boys Don't Cry. I mean, it's kind of cool that these are the films you could see there.
Yeah.
This one I didn't get to go in as Space St. Michael. It's both a cafe. It's a 2-screen theater, but it's also a cafe, and they also do live performances. I think comedy acts play there. It's pretty cool. When I looked at their calendar, it looked like they had restorations of Hitchcock's Psycho, Vertigo, and Strangers on a Train coming up.
Wow.
And then,
see, I just love that they're playing all of these things and people are going. You know, it's art. It's cinema is art. There's a love of movies and they all exist at the same time. You know, you can see Chaplin, you can see Hitchcock, and I felt that when I ran, like I said, I found that theater playing Casablanca at 2 a.m. or whenever it was. I don't even remember. I was so wasted by that time. I had like 5 bottles of wine with some friends, and it was
well, and you can also see a handful of brand new movies, foreign and otherwise. It's kind of crazy. Yeah. So this is the Max Linder Panorama. This is where they do PIF. PIF is their big Paris horror film festival once a year. I think Shadows, which is the French equivalent of Shudder, kind of helps host it. But yeah, so they're showing that Wizard of the Kremlin movie. And in fact, when I took this photo, it was opening day and the director was there to do a Q&A. Wow. And I was like, oh, that's kind of crazy. But so the gimmick with this is it is three balconies high, but it's one giant curved panoramic screen.
Wow.
So so my friend Cedric goes to PIF there because he's like, there's no other chance you're going to get to see some of these like lower budget or independent horror movies on a screen this big ever again. It's like your one chance to see a lot of that stuff, which I think is kind of cool. This is the Grand Rex, which is a ginormous theater. Again, I think I said it's I believe it's something like a 2,500 seater in the main room. There's a really famous viral video that I linked on my article of basically this guy went with all his friends opening night for Spider-Man No Way Home, and it's like everyone absolutely
is this the same theater?
It's that theater, yeah.
So
this is the theater where
but the next one here, is that the same theater?
Yes, that's the same theater. Just it's connected to basically a nightclub as well as a theater, and then that's the side the other. It's the other side of it. It takes up a ginormous corner.
Wow. Oh, this is cool. See, this is where you see like
Yeah.
how if people have never been to Paris, all the not all, there's big buildings, but this is what most of the bulk of what people know of Paris is like. I think they're only 6 stories. Like they've limited construction to only being this tall. And these buildings have been around for a long time. And these neighborhoods, I mean, it's just, you have to experience it all. And just walking down these streets with all the different smells coming from bakeries and all the food, it's amazing. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it really is. And coming up this is the main UGC in basically in the heart of Paris. It's their biggest complex. It's their biggest performing
multiplex.
theater in all of Paris. Yeah, basically this is where we saw 28 years later the Bone Temple.
That's so
that's
cool.
just. By the way, it's I don't want to call it a mall, but it's in an outdoor. It's basically in an indoor section, and you have to go up the stairs to it. So all those little posters are kind of like just outside the theater. It's pretty amazing.
Now there's a picture of the three of you. I hope that's okay to show this picture because I just put everything.
Yeah.
That's
my friend Cedric and my girlfriend. This is us after 28 years later.
Nice.
And then Metaluna is my favorite physical media store in Paris. That's coming up here. Yeah. Basically it's they have I mean, I love that as soon as you walk in.
Yeah.
They have DVDs, Blu-rays. They have a lot of, they call them imports, but it's the Severin and Vinegar Syndrome titles and Arrow titles are there as quote unquote imports. But that's when I feel like, oh, I'm home because these are titles. But I'm always fascinated by the titles and releases in other countries. So that's why I took this photo because I'm like,
you look
Bloody
at
Bird, Bloody Bird. That's Stage Fright, and I almost bought that because
isn't that Irving Wallace is the Bloody Bird? Irving Wallace is the name of that character.
And by the way, this one, let's pause on that for a second. So my friends at Fright Rags,
hang on a second.
Fright Rags is
the Pyromaniac there.
Yes.
This?
So I have a story about this. Yeah. So my friends at Fright Rags, besides putting out T-shirts and doing really cool, viewfinders and really cool gimmicky stuff, they put out a 7-inch record of 2 songs, and it's for a fictional movie they made up called Pyromaniac because they kind of looked back in the 80s and like, you know what, there was never a slasher movie in that era about a pyromaniac, right? And so I'm shocked because I see this on a shelf there, and I pick it up, and it looks very much like it's an 80s movie, but it's in French. So I ask Alyssa to translate it for me. And basically the basic premise is that there's a guy that used to be tortured by his mother as a kid because she'd always burn him. And so now he grew up, and now he like kidnaps women and burns them to death with a blowtorch. I'm like, wow, well, this sounds amazing. I have to check this movie out. Family movie. So it turns out I went on the good old IMDb and did some research. This is actually the movie Don't Go in the House. It is only called Pyromaniac in France. This is the one and only territory where it's that title, which, by the way, is a much better title for that movie. And if you're curious about Don't Go in the House, because it's actually not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. It is on Tubi for free. So as soon as I saw this and I found it out, I found it on Tubi and watched it immediately. And it's a pristine, I assume one of these companies put it out because it was a pretty pristine presentation of it on Tubi.
Yeah. And now what do we got coming up here? Is that Charles Bronson?
Yeah, I'm friends with Paul Talbot, who does all the great commentary tracks on all the Bronson stuff. So I took a photo for him. I was like, I have to show this to Paul. And then
there you go.
And my friend is the writer producer of Dexter. So there's plenty of physical media of Dexter Original Sin represented. And this was just cool to me.
Sean Hudson, all right.
Slugs, and then the Basket Case novelization, which came out.
Look at that.
And the Cruel Jaws, all in French. The French versions of those, which I thought was so cool.
And that's you in front of the store.
Yeah.
Metaluna, the Metaluna mutant from This Island Earth.
Yes. And by the way, if you can come out of this for a second before we talk about the next one.
Oh wait, hang on. Let me do that. Wait. Hang on. So now you're on screen.
So I went to Metaluna twice while I was there, and there's two dudes that run the place. I don't know their names. One is kind of like an older, like grumpy guy who owns it, and he just constantly chain smokes inside the store. I don't know if you're allowed to do that, but he does it anyway. And then the other guy, from what I understand, my friend Cedric told me, he writes a lot of these. He writes a lot of horror genre books, and they sold them there. There's a really cool genre books that touch into that. But the second time I was there. And I mean, this is just what I miss about, I think the reason we go to physical media stores. Basically, there was an older gentleman that was very passionately arguing with the owner about movies. And I didn't understand what they were saying, but he was being very loud and like doing this a lot. And from what I understand, basically he was telling the owner all these things that he recommended to him were shit. And the owner's just sitting there smoking in his face, like, yeah, okay.
That's the Frenchest shit I've ever heard.
And yeah, and I was like, these are my people. I love this place.
So that's Metaluna.
Yeah. This is where I watched it right
love
before this trip.
Midnight in Paris. Oh, look how cute you guys
This is Emily in Paris's apartment. And that is the John Wick 4 stairs. That's where John Wick runs up and falls.
Yep.
Repeatedly, yeah. And by the way, I did a little video of us running up it. It is a challenge. It is a challenge. I was out of breath quite a bit, yeah. So John Wick fell down these stairs for your sake.
Oh, I think they've repeated these pictures. Yeah, these are just repeats.
Yeah, now we're back to the beginning. Yeah.
Okay, but there is one video.
So there you have it.
There, I appreciate that. What a treat. But there's one video of you. Hang on, let me put you back on screen. There's one more video of you in a video store.
Oh, okay. So let me set this up really quick because it's a short clip. So, and I'm sure you have as well. I stumbled on these videos. It's from a YouTube channel, and I say it wrong in the video, so forgive me because I only did it all in one take. But it's Konbini is the YouTube channel, and they do a series of videos with directors when they're visiting Paris at the JM Video Club. It's a very small video store. There's a viral clip of Christopher Nolan there talking about how important physical media is to him. And basically I was like, I have to go here. I love this place. Ty West, Sean Baker, all these great filmmakers are there. So we went, and there were two guys working there, and one of them heard me speaking English, so he started speaking English to me, and he was really nice. He was a really nice guy, although the other guy was teasing him in French that he had some sort of accent on his English. And then Alyssa translated this to me, and I said to him, well, I think your accent is just fine, which everybody kind of got a laugh out of. Now, I didn't know if they'd be cool with me filming, so we did this on the sly, kind of very quickly when nobody was paying attention. Basically, I wanted to make my own Jam Video Club video and pretend like I was a great filmmaker.
All right, so here it is.
Yeah. Hello, I'm Robert Galuzzo, and I'm in Jam Video Club in Paris, France. This is where Kenobi does filmmaker interviews for their YouTube channel, including with people like my friend Sean Baker, Ty West, Guillermo del Toro, Christopher Nolan, and it is awesome. So I'm going to show you some of my favorites. Underrated. I discovered this on this trip. These movies are great.
I love how you're like whispering.
That's why I had to put the subtitles on it. I love that there's a Gaspar Noé hidden behind two titles, smoking out front. Yeah, and these are all the autographed directors that have stopped by. That was awesome. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, super cool. I think we're going to close on the front. Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Well, Rob, I want to thank you for sharing all that stuff. How cool is that? I mean, I haven't traveled in the last couple of years, but I just can't stress enough how I have found that I've met more people using pop culture as a bridge to talk to people. You know, I'm always trying to ask, like, if they're from a certain country, I'm like, have you seen this movie, or have you seen this? And when you can get people that are, I mean, yeah, it's skewed for nerds, but as if you can break that ice, you know, everybody has certain pop cultural touchstones that it's always great to, and then you start a conversation, and then invariably, well, you should go here or go there and see this or see that. It's always great, but that was really fun to see. I love those pictures. And the article that you wrote, so it's on your website. If you go to robertvgaluzzo.com, you can read the article that accompanies all the photos.
Yeah, and I mean, basically, you'll see a bunch of tabs at the top, but interviews, articles is where all of my literally thousands of articles I've written, but blog posts is the most recent, and that's where you'll find Cinemas in Paris, or you could just do a search for the word Paris, and I promise you it'll come up along with that video that I did.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So now let me just bring it all around. You know, we're living in a time where physical media is precarious because everybody wants to go to streaming. I mean, our world is now, I mean, it's so funny. I think about Rollerball, how it was all about the corporate society, and in the not too distant future, wars will no longer exist, but there will be Rollerball. We're all going to be controlled. We're all going to have subscription services, and it's all going to be this dystopian future that we've been warned about for the last 100 years. It's nothing it's nothing new. I mean, it's eventually you're going to have to pay a subscription service to get your Roomba to work. I mean, it's that said, you know, I always believe that human beings are always going to want to go places and do things and sit there collectively in a cinema and have experiences. You know, physical media is very precarious. If we lose one more studio, I mean, I think Disney's going to release 10 things or something this year.
Yeah.
We're getting Predator Badlands from Fox, but where's Patton? Where's The French Connection? Where are the original 5 Planet of the Apes movies? No one seems to care because the corporations don't want you to own their movies. They just want you to subscribe to their streaming service. But the problem is, if analytics drive everything we watch, we're all going to be watching the same 100 movies from every studio's catalog because they're going to be like, well, only so many people have, this movie has only been watched 3 times in a year, which is what's going to happen. And they're going to say, we don't need it on our streaming service. Why should we put this on a hard drive? It's more expensive to keep it here. We're not getting any value from it. And I would say, you know what? Those 3 people that watched it, they got something out of it. And it is our artistic, it is our heritage. And if we allow analytics or AI or profit to decide what art remains in our accessible to us, we're lost. In France, art is important. They will never allow analytics to say, nope. That's why they've done that with their theatrical releases. And they're like, no, you don't get to go to streaming right away. It's more important that the public has a chance to ingest this, to experience it. And we don't, I mean, yeah, that Milton Friedman late stage capitalism business where it's all about profit. Well, that's fine, but there's still quality of life. And I look through these pictures that you just showed us and I think to myself, I want to live in that world. You know,
me too.
I mean, when I was in the times I've gone to France, I just wander around. I didn't even want to go to sleep. I didn't want to miss anything. The only problem is it's really hard to chat up French girls if you don't speak French.
It's very difficult to navigate without a French speaker. But also, I mean, did you stop and have meals? Because that's the other thing that blows me away is people. It's not about the food. It's about the fact that nobody rushes you. They want to take their time and enjoy everything. And that was one of the things that really threw off Alyssa when she came here. Is that how many times people came up to us and asked us if we needed anything else and then gave us the check, like rushing us. And I'm like, well, they want more bodies here. They want us to leave so somebody else could spend money here. And there was not a single experience I had on this trip or any previous where even if I just had a cup of coffee where I felt pressured or rushed to get out of there, even at small places. It's like, no, this is a given. You're here now at this time and you're going to take as much time as possible to enjoy whatever it
Well,
is you're sitting
the
with.
same is true of Spain, by the way. My first
Yeah,
experience
yeah.
in Europe, I've been there 6 times now to go to Barcelona to go to the Sitges Film Festival, which is my favorite film festival I've ever been to. That's why I've gone back so many times. I first went there in 1998 with Free Enterprise. I went in 2001 just to hang out. I went back with Hills Run Red, where I got to meet Herschel Gordon Lewis, which was a highlight.
Amazing.
Dave Parker shared a limo with him. Went back in 2011 with Femme Fatale's episodes, 2012. And although I wasn't there in 2012, Charlie de Lauzirika gave me a poster. But the because the experience of life, LIVIN, it's that we don't know what that is here. We can't just chill out. There's always some place to be. We have to go somewhere. But the thing about Europe is you're present. When you sit at a cafe, it's all about the gestalt of the experience of it. It's just you sit there, you watch people come and go, you get your croissant, you have a great conversation. People smoke their cigarettes or drink their coffee or whatever they do. It's a whole different mindset. And the same thing is true of movies. I mean, that's why I like my friend Alvaro and I said we're going to see a double feature every week this year. Mm-hmm. And so far I hate to say it, but I'm seeing The Strangers 3, Part 3, this Chapter 3, and Whispers? Is that it? Whistling? I don't know what it is. That's
Whistle. You're picking some,
I know, dude, but we did see the Bone Temple and Primate. That was dope.
That's a good double. Yeah,
that was a good double. Last week was Iron Lung and Send Help. Half of that was great.
Okay.
So but I just like the idea. There's one weekend coming up where there's actually 4 movies that I want to see.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of good stuff. But I want to do that because I want to end this year. I'm leading up to Doomsday. December 18th, the ultimate double feature, which I think IMAX needs to lean into it. But do you think that we, America, will ever get back the art of cinema? Are we going to get... I know, I don't either.
I don't. But here again, I think...
But first of all, I don't mean to be a doomsayer, but why do you think we won't get it back? What is it? What is wrong with us? Or is it wrong?
I just think in general, people, we are a culture of convenience, and people don't want to be bothered. I mean, I was blown away. I watched your stream, whatever it was 2 days ago about the film students that can't watch films, and I was blown away by the statistic that you said that most young people look at their phones every 47 seconds or something like that, and that you hit the nail on the head. I'm like, if that's true, and it is of most people, we're never going to get their attention to enjoy the things the way that we did. All I can do is make I still believe in it, and I still believe there's enough people that believe in it. And I'm always inspired when I go to other states and now countries and see how they do things there. I mean, I was very inspired by this trip to France, which is why we're doing this. So I think there's hope. I think, and maybe it was our friend Andrew Cash, who said it, but I believe that we're leaning towards that theatrical is going to be mostly a specialty thing. It's going to be something that people like us who really still care will go out of our way to see it, and not necessarily the not the thing that everybody does every weekend, because there's just so much competing against it. There's less attention. There's so many other options and all. So I don't mean to be doom and gloom, but what I appreciate is that the people that love it really love it. So the people that are watching this and that tune into your show, if I can turn them on to some new, like something that's playing in France right now, while simultaneously somebody watches Phantomos on Tubi, I'd be very happy. Like I just like to pay it forward. I think what I always wanted to try to recapture, and I think it's why I was successful in the podcast space several years ago, is I think we all want the experience of the video store. And what I mean by that is you want to walk in and overhear what the clerks are talking about and ask them, well, what movie are you talking about? I want to rent that. I want to see that. There's no better feeling than than kind of getting that recommendation or that thrill of chatting with somebody and then hearing what they think about it. And then they come back. I mean, it's kind of like you said, when you have your rapport with the people that you see at the theater. So that's why, Rob and I have been talking for over a year now about doing a segment called Cinema Palette, where we talk about these filmmakers of the past that you may not be familiar with, or you may not care about, or whatever, but we kind of want to tell you why you should care.
And we're going to do that.
The reason I did all the Ingmar Bergman films, because Criterion put out this incredible box set, but the reason I think it's so important for us to all of us to maybe go back is, here's a guy that has lived, made all these films, and died all over. And in his life, he asked every conceivable question about being alive. He asked about love, about grief, about marriage, about divorce, about, pain, about cheating. Like, he's basically asked every question and tried to answer them through his films. And so I can watch a farcical comedy, a romantic comedy that he did that was in Sweden in the 50s, and I relate to it in 2025, 2026 now, because it's just human. There certain movies and certain filmmakers have captured what it's like to be human. Same with Kozlowski and those Three Colors movies. I mean, you can watch that at any time.
And the Decalogue.
And to me, it's like, there again, if you don't think there's good stuff out there now, I promise you, there is incredible stuff in the past that you have yet to experience.
I mean,
and that's what Cinema Palette is all about.
Yeah, the thing that I've tried to stress, I mean, what has been frustrating for me is I've now existed in the YouTube space. April 14th will mark my 11th anniversary on YouTube. Beginning when John Schnepp called me up, my good buddy John Schnepp called me up and said, "Hey, yeah, I'm doing the show. It's called AMC Heroes." And I was on the 6th episode of AMC Heroes before it became Collider Heroes. And I'd never met John Campea, and I went on because John Schnepp asked me, and I went into the studios. It was AMC Studios, and it was right across the street, across from Barney's Beanery and down basically in Burbank. And I didn't even have an inkling, because I'd watch like movie trailers on YouTube. I didn't watch YouTube. I would go in and do the show. I never even had the idea that I was on a show. Because I'm in a studio. I'd come in, we'd talk, we'd have fun. Hey, good, got to go back to cut. I was actually editing a really low budget. Mike Hurst, who I directed episodes of Femme Fatales with, he had made a low budget feature called Paradox and asked me to edit it. So I was actually editing, working on Paradox while and also the Axonar project while I started my YouTube career. So I was editing this low budget $250,000 sci-fi movie, and then also working on Axonar and going in. It was fun. But I never thought I'd be here 11 years later talking about movies. But what I saw in that 10 years is that the very audience, our core audience, my core audience, your core audience, has changed. And we were always looking outward. I think that's why anybody looks at art, because all art is about defining the human. What is the human experience of living? And when you talk about Bergman, as you just so eloquently put it, he's making his films about all of the human truths that we have to face. Yeah. And I think that's why we were attracted to cinema when we were younger. Nowadays, everyone's watching user-generated content because they want to find real people that they can vibe with or that speak to them or whatever. And people have gotten out, especially in America, but younger people have gotten out of the habit of looking outward for meaning. They're looking inward. They want to see themselves reflected back at them by following creators and things like that. What we need to do, and I think through our love of cinema, is to tell people that whatever is ailing you, whatever is disappointing you, if you're feeling depressed or you're feeling somehow sad or stuck or something, there is a movie out there that is going to fire you up. You are going to stumble across something you have no idea. And it's not just movies, it's music. It's something outside of you that is going to not be reflecting yourself back at you. Because I feel that that's what that's where we're at now, is people watch the people that reinforce their beliefs. We didn't do that. We were looking for things that didn't reinforce our beliefs. We wanted to look at things that opened our minds and our eyes, the horizons. Like, oh, I never thought of that before. That was what we were interested in. And nowadays, people get mad. Well, don't talk about politics. No, you just don't want anyone to talk about politics you don't believe in, because all you've done is listen to your beliefs be reinforced or reflected back at you all day long. But when we were growing up, that's not what we were doing at all. We knew that we didn't know, and we were looking to these artists to tell us or to give us, whether it was your favorite rock star, or your favorite painter, or your favorite filmmaker, or your favorite athlete, whatever it was. We always looked outward into the world. And I think that that's what I hope, if you're going to be a fan of A24, great, because A24 movies are at least posing those kinds of questions. They're at least trying to open up the audience's mind. And what's interesting is there's a cult of A24 because the movies they've put out have made their fans, they have been inspired. They have had their eyes opened by movies like The Witch or Hereditary or The Northman or Spring Breakers or, whatever, or The Moment. And I think that's what we want to do.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you're going to, you're not going to learn anything or figure things out in life if you don't have your ideas and beliefs challenged. You don't have to agree or like anything. I mean, I literally last week I went with my buddy Scott to the New Beverly to see a double feature of Bronson with Only God Forgives, Nicholas Winding Refn. And I said the same thing when I walked out of both movies. I'm like, I don't even know if I like either of those movies. Like I
Only God Forgives is rough.
I think they're both rough in different ways. I mean, again, there's things I enjoy about them. I cannot deny Tom Hardy's performance. It was the first time that I ever drew a parallel that's kind of a Clockwork Orange, because they showed a trailer to Clockwork Orange right before.
But it's totally.
So I was like, oh my God, I never even put that together, but they showed the trailer and it made sense to me. And they showed the trailer to Chopper, which I always confused with Bronson. But I'm glad, but that's the thing. It's okay. It's okay if I don't love everything about those movies. I still went to see a double feature of them and I wanted to experience them again. And I got something out of it. It doesn't mean, that's life. You're not every day is not going to be filled with everything going exactly your way. And you need to be challenged and acknowledge and talk about it.
But that's the thing. You weren't looking for something just to reinforce what you've already believe.
Yeah.
And I have come to the conclusion, because I see it on social media every single day. I mean, now it's gotten to the point where it depends on what day it is. I'm either a lefty or a white supremacist, depending on who has encountered me that day. And it's so funny. I'm like, I've joked, I'm all things to all people. But it's because people they're so insulated and they're so afraid of breaking out. And with movies, when Martin Scorsese said about cinema, he talked about superhero movies not being cinema. Mm-hmm. And I think in a way he's right, because and I'm thinking about for myself, what I'm looking for from Avengers Doomsday is an awesome superhero story. The same thing. I am surrounded by tens of thousands of pages of Marvel comics and omnibuses and all that. I'm not looking for Avengers Doomsday to be David Fincher-esque. What I do want it to be is I want it to be an expertly crafted superhero story. Yeah. And I'm not sitting there going, look at those shots and those Fincher-esque precise compositions where the camera, it tracks with someone's movement perfectly. No, man, I just want to see fucking Doom and the Avengers and the X-Men kick some fucking ass. And I know I'm going to be getting the most expensive, lavishly produced superhero story ever. Mm-hmm. It uses the medium of cinema, but it's not cinema. Mm-hmm. It's not going to see Only God Forgives and Bronson. It's not that.
Yeah, it's a whole different thing.
And so what's happened is people love Harry Potter, people love Star Wars, people love superhero stories, but they love Star Wars, Harry Potter, and superheroes. They don't necessarily love cinema, which is what I think Martin Scorsese was saying. And cinema is an art form. Now, superhero stories, Star Wars stories, and Harry Potter stories have availed themselves of movies, the cinematic language. But they're more interested not in cinema itself, and cinema has its own language. They're interested in using cinema to tell a Harry Potter story.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. Whereas, when you're watching the Decalogue or you're watching Double Life of Veronique or Red, White, Blue, it's the art of cinema that is being used to convey a story of human truths and all that. Whereas I want to see the fucking Marvel superheroes fight. And I want to see it in a cinematic way, but by definition, what they're telling me is a superhero story. It's not cinema as an art form. And that's kind of the difference. And I think most people now, especially people that love movies, what they love are Star Wars stories, superhero stories, horror stories, whatever. I mean, if I tell somebody, I love horror movies, really? Well, watch Don't Look Now. Why would you tell me to watch this? Because it's great? They're going to be like, that's not what I want to see. And I'm like, what you want is you want a certain kind of horror story delivered to you using cinema as the delivery system. But you're not really interested in cinema itself. What you want is this specific kind of tale. And what I would like to see, and what you were talking about with Cinema Palette, is to watch something you wouldn't traditionally watch. Yeah. You'll watch a story that you would have never thought to watch this kind of a story before because it never occurred to you. What you want is action, adventure, sword and sorcery, Lord of the Rings, whatever the fuck it is, but you're not going to go back and watch a Bergman movie. Mm-hmm. You're not going to watch Fanny and Alexander, or maybe you will.
Well, I'll always laugh. I think it was the last stream we did where nobody's out there doing a YouTube reaction to whatever it was, Cries and Whispers. There's no reaction video to that movie.
But the funny thing is, there should be.
Yeah, somebody should be getting into that. Yeah,
I mean,
maybe
think
popcorn
that,
in bed.
I love talking to you over the course of the last 6 months. You were talking to me about diving into this Ingmar Bergman box set that Criterion put out. And there is a cult of Criterion. There are people that, and it's only I love the fact that right now there's a lot of op-ed pieces because of the Epstein files about people writing about Eyes Wide Shut. And Roger Avery said there's a different cut, and it's not what the problem is that Eyes Wide Shut is based on a book. Arthur Schnitzler's dream novel. So you can think what Eyes Wide Shut, you can impose meaning on Eyes Wide Shut, but you still have to go to the original novel that he was basing it on. And you can say, is all this stuff in there? Because people are trying to equate it with, and I would say, maybe, but not really. Kubrick was not part of the Illuminati. He was not forsaken by the blood-drinking, cannibalistic cults that are in the basement of pizza parlors. He was a guy that was trying to make a film of a book that he loved that was written in the 1920s or whatever, that he wanted to celebrate the fact that he loved his wife. And no one talks about that in any of their analyses of what he was doing. No, man, he was, in room 227, he was telling everyone he faked the moon landing. And it's like,
it's crazy that you can get that out of it, but I don't know. And by the way, Cinema Palette is a column on my website now that I started, and it's people like Ingmar Bergman. I'm working on one on David Lynch because I watched all his stuff again. But the one that is just about done, that I think I'll probably publish in the next couple of days, believe it or not, is a Cinema Palette on William Lustig, because the first thing I saw when I went to Paris was I had my Criterion channel loaded up, and Criterion channel, lo and behold, had William Lustig's Maniac Pulp. They had a William Lustig block on Criterion channel. Now, it had Maniac, it had Vigilante, and it had the Maniac Cop trilogy, and that's it. So I was kind of bummed because I'm like, well, there's more, but I watched Vigilante and Maniac Cop 1 through 3, and then I decided, well, let me go a little further. I know he did this movie called The Hit List with Lance Henriksen that I'd never seen, so I found that. Then I found out that he co-directed half of a Jeff Speakman movie called The Expert. So yes, I went down that path and read about how him and Larry Cohn originally wrote it as a movie called Brute Force that was supposed to be literally the Magnificent Seven breaking into jail. I went on a really deep. First of all, I've known William Lustig for a long time now, and I love him as a person and as a filmmaker. I'll put Vigilante.
He also
up
founded
there.
Blue Underground.
Blue Underground, got a lot of those Argento movies over here through Anchor Bay. He's such an unsung gem of a man and a filmmaker. And so that's the thing. I watched all his movies and I'm like, okay, I have something to say about this filmography. And that's what Cinema Palette can be too, because his movies, sometimes there's a line that you might not be comfortable with, and his movies are right there. So you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Can you handle Maniac and Vigilante? This is going to be the line.
Maniac was the second the guy who gave me my first bootleg video cassette was Dawn of the Dead. It was on 2 cassettes.
Yeah.
And it took years, but the second Maniac had not opened on the West Coast yet. And I had a bootleg video of Maniac, and it was not a very good. That's a very dark film. I mean, it's dark in many ways, but it's a dark movie. It takes place in dimly lit rooms, and it takes place at night. And that movie really, I was blown away by that movie. As a kid, there was something that was so lurid, and it was Joe Spinell. On one hand, he's in Luigi Cozzi's Star Crash, Lewis Coates, and then I've got Star Crash as he's Count Zartharn, and then I'm watching fucking Maniac, and I even in my mind, Maniac was a movie I didn't want my mom to walk down into the family room and see that I was watching.
Oh yeah,
oh my God.
It's one of the rare ones that I don't know how he did it, and I don't know why it works the way it does, because in the hands of somebody else, and again, I can't wait for you to read this article, because I deep dived every one of his movies, and I think I came up with some fun perspective on all of it.
Well, your stuff is always interesting to read. Going to especially your website and delving into this stuff is very, very worthwhile. Let's see, Fred, by the way, Fred sends in a tip and says, I'm kind of interested to go see Epic, Elvis Presley in concert. Has Rob G seen it, and what did he think of it?
I have not, but I do love, it's a concert film, right? It's Baz doing a concert film. I haven't seen it yet, but I love that that's something you could see in theaters. I love alternative programming, and I think we should be doing more. There should be more concert films out there. I think if you limit it, like if you try to force a full schedule of it for a week, I think I like the eventizing it. You know what I almost bought in France, because it's already out on Blu-ray, but I'm going to go see it on tomorrow, is Luc Besson's Dracula.
Dave Parker, it was the Secret Cinema this week at AMC.
Oh. So you saw it?
Parker calls me up and he goes, you know what? I liked it.
Okay, I'm going to go see it tomorrow. If Dave liked it, I'll probably like it.
Dave liked it. Dave liked Luc Besson's Dracula, and I'm like, that was not on my radar. And look, Alvaro and I are going to see it because he loves his slasher movies. We're going to see Strangers 2 and Whisper. I'm like, we could have gone to see The Moment and Luc Besson's Dracula.
I think that's a better double.
That's a better double feature, and we're locked in, so we have to go see this. I mean, do we? I mean, we should go see what's good.
I think you should fight back on this one for those other two films. I think that's the better double feature. That's just me. I don't know your friend very well.
He's a very smart guy. Really love him to death. But this double feature, and he said I made him go see Mercy. He was like, I wasn't gonna, and I deferred to you. So, and he said, you're gonna defer to me. I will raise you Strangers 3 by. But I'm like, I'm like, The Moment. And Luc Besson's Dracula is where we should be going. Maybe tomorrow, if he watches this show, maybe he'll make that choice on his own. But
Yeah.
what can I
Any
say?
other questions or comments before I'm going to do a few plugs before we wrap up?
Yeah,
That's
sure.
okay.
Hang on. That's a good question. Let me just check and see because I haven't really looked. Well, you know what? We do actually. We have some super chats. So we've got, hang on, let me go back up here. Happy S'more says, I'm trying to find an escape from reality into cinema viewing and reviewing. I'm looking for a top 3 cinema and top 3 horror to start my review channel. Thanks. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I think if you're going to start a channel, what you want to do is combine something that everybody sees. You need a marquee thing that people tune in that you can put on the thumbnail. Because everybody who knows something wants to tune in and find out. But then try and find 2 other things that you've never heard of or don't even know. So if you're going to go after, like you say here, top 3 cinema and top 3 horror. Well, that's pretty broad. But when it goes to top 3 horror, pick out something like, look, John Carpenter's The Thing just got added to the National Registry.
Yeah.
And use that as your way in. And if you have never seen The Thing, or if you've seen The Thing, everybody will watch your review of The Thing because everybody loves The Thing, but they'll still want to know what you think of it. And that could be your way in. So there's your marquee title to get people to watch you. But then do a deep dive and find out something obscure, like maybe, I don't know, a vampire movie that you haven't seen before, or something else. I mean, that would be, and when you say top 3, because if you're just going to talk about things that everybody already knows, what's the point? Yeah. And for you, find whatever top 3, and don't watch Citizen Kane and talk about how it's overrated. It's not overrated. It's overrated for audiences today that don't understand the context. Now, you could say the argument could be made that, well, if art is being looked at from today's perspective, maybe it has no value anymore. I would say that to appreciate art, you also have to have some understanding of what you're watching. And if it comes from the past, it's doubly important that you understand the context of which, how the film was made, who made it, why they made it. It's incumbent upon you to get a little bit educated before you're going to delve in and just watch something, because you need to know how to do that. So at least that's just I don't know, suddenly I'm seeing pictures playing, or maybe these are, I don't know what I'm seeing now, but
My pictures? Sorry.
yeah, your pictures. Anyway, what do you think? What should he do?
No, I agree with you. The one thing that I always, what is your perspective? And basically, I remember once I wrote an article about Ellie Cornell in Halloween 4, the character of Rachel Carruthers.
Who's
and how
in
much
Free
I loved her.
Enterprise, by the way.
Yes, exactly. About her character and how much I loved her character. And I remember getting an email from another horror site, a smaller one, that said, hey, I wanted to write an article about Rachel Carruthers, but you just did, and I feel like bad. And I'm like, well, why? You are a completely different person with completely different life experiences. So your perspective of what Rachel means to you is going to be completely different from mine. In other words, you're not copying me. I encourage you to write whatever you want. I want to read it because it's going to be different from my point of view. So I say the same thing about movies. The Thing is a great starting point, but like if you've never seen classic horror movies, then I would say Psycho, Halloween, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And before you start talking about them and giving your thoughts, watch them, then Google and read a whole bunch of articles about them. Get context. See what Roger Ebert said about the movies when they came out. See whatever, Fangoria or whatever, just so you can understand if what you're feeling is right. Because again, something like John Carpenter's Halloween is very of its time. I don't think it's a very scary movie or anything like that, but that's because it was made in a different time. But I can contextualize and understand why people were scared when it came out. Same thing with Psycho. If I had a time machine, I would go see those 3 movies: Psycho, Halloween, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
And have your memories of them wiped away, so you could
so you could see them.
Yeah, the time. I look, I totally agree with that. What I've always told people The one thing that you can bring to YouTube that nobody else can bring is yourself. That's it.
It's your unique perspective.
Your unique points of view, and that's why people tune in and watch reaction videos, and that's why, I like to watch people whose reactions I don't think will have any common ground on. Even if they hate something that I like, I still love watching other people react to things I like, because I already know what I think. But watching people, that's why I love watching, like, specifically, like, women react to classic Star Trek episodes. Because I never talked to girls, just weren't into Star Trek. I didn't know any girls that liked Star Trek when I was growing up as a kid. And so now when you watch the female perspective about Star Trek, I learned something from that. I actually learned perspectives, and I'm also seeing, like, how does something I've loved my entire life, how does it work from 2026's perspective? And what they think, this is the funny thing, whether they hate something that I love, it doesn't matter. I'm not comparing or contrasting myself to them. What I'm more interested in is, what does a woman of today think about something that I love that was made starting in 1966? How does it play for them? What they might have insights that I've never thought about, because I've already made up my mind. But to watch somebody look back 50 or 60, in the case of Star Trek, 60 years to when it originated, the way it hits them in 2026 is, I don't know how it's going to hit them. And maybe they'll contextualize it in a way that I never thought of. And I think that that's also a product of us being of a generation that looked out to things. Like, we weren't afraid. Look, if I love something or like something, I'm not afraid of somebody who hates that thing. It doesn't bother me. I don't sit there and go, well, I don't want to talk about politics. I like being challenged. I like my ideas being contrary to somebody else's. I don't take it personally. I look at it as an opportunity to learn. And yet I think that's an art where, because people are no longer, they want to see themselves reflected back in everything. That to me is not interesting, because I already walk around, I'm confident in what I know and what I don't know. And what I want to find out is what you know. Tell me what you know. I'm more interested in you. And I think that's what, if you're going to go on YouTube and offer a perspective, never, ever sell yourself short. What you're giving is your perspective, and the only person who has that perspective is you. And that means, because I've always said, going back to Watchmen and Dr. Manhattan, when he decides to save humanity from the surface of Mars, he realizes that the thermodynamic miracle of life is amazing, and that every single person, the idea that any one of us exists, the odds of us existing are so small in the cosmic infinitude of the universe that every single human being is unique, which means that every single human being has something to offer. Which, when it comes to YouTube and movie criticism, you're never going to be the same as somebody else. And the more you can bring of yourself to something, the better off you're going to be. I want to know what you're going to think of the thing. It's wild to see John Carpenter go on social media and talk about The Thing being picked as one of 25 films added to the Library of Congress film registry. That's amazing. It's amazing.
Finally for him. I feel like finally, he always thought that movie was a failure, and it's like kind of undeniable now.
And he's been embittered. You know, he was such a favorite filmmaker of mine, and from the 70s through the 80s into the 90s, I mean, he was somebody that meant so much to me. And to now see this movie that really derailed his career, even though it was the best thing he probably ever did. I mean, can you imagine? You have all this success going from Dark Star, a student film, to Assault on Precinct 13, to Halloween, to, well, the Elvis TV movie, to The Fog, Escape from New York. And then you finally get to make, I mean, he made a bunch of movies before he was recognized by Universal. And his movie has the unfortunate reality of coming out 2 weeks after E.T. I mean, The Thing and Blade Runner opened on the same day.
Crazy.
And neither one of those movies were a success, but now everyone knows them. So, anyway. Well, this has been a good show, man. I want to thank you for coming on the show. I want to thank you for bringing all the photographs. plug away. Let me go full screen on you. Tell us.
Oh my God!
What have you got coming along? What's going on?
Well, I would love it if a few of you watching this would come to my YouTube channel, which is under my full name, Robert V. Galuzzo, because I just been posting films and shorts and things that I've done. But I made this documentary, The Psycho Legacy, right here, back in 2010. It's never been available online in any form. I have uploaded the complete original movie to my YouTube channel because at this point I just want people to watch it. It's my love letter to the Psycho franchise and to Norman Bates. And I've also been putting deleted scenes, extended scenes, things that I didn't use, the bonus features, pretty much everything from Psycho Legacy is up on my YouTube channel now. So I'd appreciate it if you'd come over and check that out. As Rob mentioned earlier, I also did a documentary called Analog Love about the long lost art of mixtapes. So if you're a music fan, you can, yes, there is a Blu-ray, but I realize that's not how people watch things anymore. It is streaming free on YouTube.
How
just
dare
type
you
in
say that, sir?
Well, it's
I
not
watched
me.
it on Blu-ray.
Oh, bless you. There is a channel called Inside the Music, and it's a YouTube channel that shows documentaries. And if you type in Analog Love Inside the Music, it will come up for free for you to watch. And I'd really hope you will because it's great. And lastly, this is my book, Icons of Fright, 100 Interviews with Legendary Horror Filmmakers. I created this website with my friend Mike Cucinotta in 2004, and on the cusp of our 20th anniversary, now 21st, we did this book collecting 100 of our best interviews, lost interviews, brand new interviews, and Rob was kind enough to let us host a podcast, 5-episode podcast that kind of contextualized everything that's in this book and gave a lot of fun behind the scenes stories. And I think we're going to record a handful more podcasts. So there's a twist for you, Rob. We have a few more episodes that we're going to give you.
Well, no, and so, please do. People are asking. They asked, "Are you going to do a season 2?" So
yeah, I think so. I mean, honestly, it's not a problem. But look, I wrote this with 3 of my best friends. We started the site together. It's just a matter of our schedules, maintaining a schedule. So if we could do a few and bank them and then roll them out, that'd be great. But I know for a fact I'm reaching out to guests because we want to do new interviews, and I think it'll be more exciting if we can do the icon style interview with some newer names. But I think we're going to record because I have not done podcasts since the pandemic,
right.
So the 6-year period. So I think we are planning a top 6 of the last 6 years. So
nice.
Basically, we just thought it'd be fun to what are the 6 like mind-blowing horror movies that we each have seen? So that's what's on deck. And you'll find it here on Rob's channel.
Well, Swift of Horror says, "What's up, Rob's Imagination Connoisseurs and Icons of Fright collab? We need season 2."
Yeah,
so
it's coming.
It's
coming. But it's got to be good. So that's where we want to make sure it's good.
The real Thomas Logan says, "Oh, you can answer. I've been answering this question all day to people. While I hate Netflix buying Warner Brothers Discovery, I relished seeing Sarandos confirm today that Superman 25 underperformed and was thus dumped on VOD. A major victory against mass delusion of gun stands everywhere." Well, first of all, he misspoke. And Superman had a very healthy, robust theatrical window. And I'll tell you something. In the history of cinema, movies don't get their sequels greenlit so quickly, even if you're the head of a studio, if the movie didn't make money. So, but what do you think? Am I wrong?
No, but I do think personally, because I was booking when that movie was out, by the time it made it to streaming, it definitely was starting to falter.
Yes. Totally.
So I think,
but it had a healthy theatrical window.
Yeah, it did. It did very well. It didn't do gangbusters or whatever. But they, that the gun thing is a long-term play anyway. The whole DC Studios universe thing is a long play. We'll see how Avengers does, because I do think that there is kind of a superhero fatigue thing going on now. But what's more interesting is that I think that what's his name, the Netflix guy, Ted Sarandos.
Ted Sarandos, yeah.
I don't think he 100%. I don't think he knows what he's talking about, and he keeps getting egg on his face because he was the one to say, I never watch movies on the big screen. I watch Lawrence of Arabia on a TV or whatever. And it's like, I feel so bad for that guy that he's never had an actual human experience in theatrical. I mean, I'm sure it's nice to be rich, but whatever, and they're going to have to do, they're not going to, I mean, I just saw Frankenstein on the big screen finally because it was very difficult to find in LA, even though we're in LA. It was hard to find it. And then I saw it at home when it was on Netflix and I loved it. It's like my favorite Guillermo movie. And it was playing last week at I think one of the Lemleys is doing all the Netflix movies. And I went out of my way to go see it on the big screen and I enjoyed it 10 times more seeing it that way. I was like, you know what? I wish I saw it this way. So yeah, there is hope for Netflix and theatrical if they would just stop being so stubborn. But anyway.
I think that's what they want Warner Brothers for. They're going to let Warner Brothers be, and they're going to let Warner Brothers deal with theatrical and then have them feed in their movies to Netflix. I think it's a smart idea.
I just wish it was longer than 45 days. That's just me.
Well, I think it could be if the movie's successful. No one's going to pull it out of theaters as making a ton of money.
Yeah.
I mean, Drew Gordon says, I recently rewatched Irma Vep 2022, the series, and I can't help but recommend it to everyone. A personal but universal meta story about love, darkness, and art cinema. And of course, that was a series remake of a previously existing film, too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I haven't seen the series yet, but I it's been on my mind a lot, and I love the movie.
Yeah, I did
so
too.
Thank you for reminding me. I will check it out.
Norwegian Kryptonian says, Rob, I would love to see you interview or have a conversation or a Star Trek conversation with Anna, that Star Wars girl. Well, I will always collaborate with other YouTubers. I've been watching Anna for a long time. And let's see. Wait, hang on. I have to look at that. Moradrain is that somebody who's been a member for 58 months? Is that a new name? Is that you've been a member? What am I not recognizing? Did you change your name? Do I recognize that? Well, thank you for supporting the channel for that long. I don't know. I can't tell from your picture. Is that? Are you in Portugal? I can't tell. But thank you for that. So we've caught up with the super chats. Let me just dive in one more chance to the tips section, which is it's a whole different place to go. And let me look into that because I don't want to miss anyone's comments. Nope, we're good. We are caught up. We are caught up with all the super chats. So on that note, Rob,
great.
I do want to. There's something we haven't talked about regarding Avengers Doomsday, but I have to talk about that with you off.
Oh, great.
Camera.
Yeah,
I've decided. By the way, I'm not going to ever. I've told people. Have I talked to you about Avengers Doomsday? And
Me?
why I know what I know?
No, not really.
Okay, good.
But we can talk. We'll talk.
I'll tell you offline. But I've decided that I'm just going to tell lies from now on. I'm tired of all this. So if anybody asks me anything more about Avengers Doomsday, know that I'm going to lie. But my lies are going to be not entirely 100% lies. I'm going to inject a little bit of the truth. And by the way, these movies are iterative. So the reality that I know about Avengers Doomsday was a reality up to a point, but they still have almost a year to change
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which they will. Yeah.
Which they will. Yeah. So, Cinema 13 says, with all you've said about New Trek, you've omitted its greatest fault. Every episode I've seen is fucking boring. I would agree because they don't know how to write a story. You know, the format of Star Trek was a teaser in 5 acts, and it was brilliant at it. I mean, you look at Star Trek episodes, the opening was always pretty great, just like a Twilight Zone episode was a banger. The people today don't know how to write, and Star Trek is incredibly boring because it's not about anything. It's about the characters. That's all it's about. Whatever. And to be fair, the Klingon episode last week was I just hated everything. So one more Federation planet or one more, the Klingon Empire is blown up in the dumbest way possible. This whole idea of the burn, none of it makes sense. It's not credible, but whatever. And on that note, we have done everything. I would just like to point out that True Noir, The Assassination of Anton Cermak, my audio drama, star-studded, that I directed, produced, edited, all those things, is dropping on every audio platform across the world on February 17th. So if audio dramas, if you didn't purchase it from our website and you already belong to Audible or whatever, you'll be able to get it everywhere. I would just ask to go to the IMDb and review it, or review it wherever. If you like it, or if you don't like it, just give me an honest review. Tell me what you think, and there you go. Do you have anything else to say, Rob?
No, I want to thank you for letting me come on and chat about theaters and movies in France, and to all of your devoted watchers and listeners. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. I miss having this outlet, and Rob provides it for me, and so do all of you. And I hope you'll continue to support what he does on the channel and what I'm trying to do as well. Appreciate
Well, thanks
it.
for that. I love having these conversations because it's uplifting, it's fun, it's culturally relevant, and we get to expand our horizons. So thank you, and thanks for providing the pictures and the videos, and really incredible. And everybody should go get Icons of Fright. And that's what I want to continue doing as our world is becoming so acrimonious. Why not lean more into what we love and share those things, especially when, you've done great work. It's great to have a really beautiful book out in the world, and we're going to do more stuff together.
Great.
So on that
Looking
note,
forward.
I'm just going to say, remember, every person you meet has a story to tell that you have yet to hear. And all you have to do is listen. And also, if I might add an addendum to that, there's a lot of movies from all around the world that you have yet to see. And all you have to do is seek them out, find them, and hit play. And you never know what you're going to find. But put the phone away, turn off the lights, focus on those movies, and don't allow anything to tear you. It's only 2 hours, 90 minutes of your time. Or if you watch Durandar, it's 3 hours and 36 minutes. But hey, it's rewarding, at least. And I haven't finished it, to be honest, because as I said, I started watching it. I haven't gotten back to it. It was the other night, and it was like 4 a.m, and I started. But anyway, thanks for being here. I want to thank Rob G for coming on. Thanks for giving me all those pictures, and this was great. And Crime 101, can't wait to see it. Don Winslow, his novella being adapted. I think it's the same name, maybe not. I forget. I don't know. But it's a Don Winslow story. I can't wait to see it from Amazon MGM. And next month we're getting Project Hail Mary, which is one of my most eagerly awaited films of the year. Can't wait to see that. What are you seeing this weekend? Maybe I can convince Alvaro not to go see The Strangers and not to go see Whisperers or Whistling or whatever the hell we're going to go see, and see The Moment, and then go see Dracula, Luc Besson's Dracula. Whatever you see, get back to us. Leave comments. Do you like these kinds of shows? Tell us. And on that note, have a better night.